Good day, good day, good day. This is Power on the internet. This is my second stream. It's gonna be great. I'm just setting things up here. Just gonna make sure that people can hear the music. Things with mounting, but I'm gonna have some generic music through the stream. Okay, everything's set. I'm gonna up my sound a little bit. Okay, good day, good day, good day. This is Spore on the internet. I'm someone. I'm a little bit of an idiot, and I'm learning to code. I'm doing things and learning to code and egging some people into it as well. I'm bringing some people into my bad ideas. So I have a friend. He's got a roguelike. I'm not gonna play this music though. Right. So I've got this friend. Oh, hello, Rio. How's it going? I'm glad you could make it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is going to be material for you, but we are going to talk about coding and video games eventually. Okay, so I have a friend. And he, something's wrong. I've got a buddy, and he wants to do a video game. He wants to do a roguelike, a super dark roguelike about... You were determined to be here, I'm glad. So yeah, I've got this friend, he wants to make a game. I think everybody who's trying to get into coding, we all have a dream game we want to accomplish. Well, he told me about his game, and I thought it was interesting. It's in Python, which is not a language I'm familiar with. But I mean, I'm familiar with it, but I'm not experienced with Python. I haven't coded much with it, and so we're gonna get into that. I'm gonna get into, I'm gonna ask him a bunch of questions about his design, and then we're gonna go into boring stuff about design patterns. I wanted to talk about a finite state machine, which is very important when making games, a very pivotal element in any video game. This is what I have on the screen right now. This is the tool I really enjoy. It's called Learn X in Y minutes. And they have a bunch of programming languages here. Pretty interesting. Hello, tea cakes. It's nice to see you. Hello. I'm gonna take my headset off and make a second sound check. All good. So yeah, I've started to learn to code about 6 months ago. I would say that like seriously, I wanted to go into and learn coding, not necessarily as like a job, but yeah, as a main occupation. But I'm not necessarily job seeking. So video games is very, like it's the most direct application of coding that you can do, and it's fun. We like video games, and so creating video games sounded like a really cool challenge. And a good part of this channel is going to be about that. I'm going to play video games as well and we're going to try and make it like accessible for non-coders also. And talk a little bit about, you know, my journey in programming. Python is a cool language. It's very elegant. It can get very complicated, but it's a very cool language because it's easy to get in. It doesn't have as much syntax. It's not considered a verbose language, so there's not a lot of characters. Like it's more accessible to new people for some reasons that I have. You know, I think if you're looking to get into coding, the first thing I would tell anyone is to try to do Hello World in a bunch of languages, and just go with your feeling, go with your vibe, whatever you enjoyed the most. So Hello World is just it's a little exercise where you print hello, and so it can give you a little bit of a hint into the language, what it looks like, how it feels. But a tool I like is learn X and Y minutes. Now, when my friend was talking about his game, he's got a lot of super cool ideas, but I'm gonna be the person breaking down all of the technical depth that it means, all of the technology we need to learn in order to make a game. I can totally make the music quieter. Just give me a second. That's gonna be better. That's almost at 0, so that's perfect. JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. It's very different. I mean, I like JavaScript. I've gotten into web design not so long ago, but like I said, I'm not an experienced coder. Really, the vibe I'm going for is regular people trying to code without necessarily just I'm not against the use of AI for stuff, but that's not what I'm trying to do. And we're not trying to vibe code something efficient that's gonna be ready by next week. We're trying to learn about coding through this. Well, that's what my program is, to learn about coding and just share the experience. I'm not necessarily here doing tutorials or showing or telling people how to code. I did experience a little bit with JavaScript and web design. I made a page. I've done a chatbot for my Discord server, which, by the way, I guess that would be a good moment to share an invite. And it's pretty cool because I have friends, yay, that are in the chat. That's very fun. I have not pinged my stream as well. I'm a very noob. Whee! Okay. Yeah, so I don't know anything about streaming. I know a little bit about coding. So I guess that's kind of like the difference. And my buddy, I really like the idea. Okay, so a roguelike. Well, let's talk about roguelikes. We all know what a roguelike is. So it comes from the game Rogue, which was, I think it was 1982. Okay, let me just one thing at a time. I'll get the invite. Okay. Okay, roguelikes. It comes from a game called Rogue, which basically it's just a really winner concept. You know, the guy who made it. I got that here. Yeah, okay. Ken Arnold, the guy who wrote it, Ken Arnold.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's up, Tuna?
Hey, how we doing,
how
buddy?
you doing? I was just talking about. I was just gonna bring up the creator, the great creator of Rogue, the roguelike, the guy who created the theme, the genre.
Oh yeah, Rogue. Yeah, there's for anybody that hasn't played the original Rogue, you don't even have to necessarily like get it running on a computer. I shared with you a link. You could drop that in chat sometime if anyone's interested, or we'll put it in the video. There's a website that hosts a bunch of like basic old virtual machines that you can go ahead and interact with through the web, and they've actually hosted Rogue on there. Very cool game. If you have never played the original Rogue, genre's changed a lot, obviously, but it all kind of starts from there. This basic dungeon crawler, really cool game. Obviously, when we talk about roguelikes nowadays, a lot of people talk about like roguelike deck builders, Balatro, Slay the Spire. That's a huge influence for me. And then some of the more extensible, like several different items that are visual and change an action-based game. That's like your Binding of Isaacs, your what's that silly game? Even games that are like puzzle-based, like Blueprints is a roguelike technically,
Yes.
in that it's a recursive run with some RNG, but with some common factors. I love this genre in general, and I think that if you think about the game Rogue and you think about the history of RPGs in general, we're getting like a renaissance of this like rogue-based thing, as opposed to the old D&D, like your character has base stats, you play an entire game. Like that was like Fable, Final Fantasy. A lot of RPGs like that have existed. I don't know how much you've been talking because I've been looking. So if you've introduced anything about the game, but so everybody knows, I'm TunaChip. I'm currently developing
Welcome,
a
TunaChip.
video game. Hey, thank you. I'm currently developing a video game called Underscore, which is a working title. It might not be the final title, but called Underscore, which is based on this idea of taking the traditional turn-based RPG, which is heavily influenced by games like Dungeons and Dragons, which usually have base stats, a lot of RNG, a lot of customizing a single character build that you hold onto tightly and you go through these plot sequences. I'm designing a game which instead is taking much more inspiration from Rogue, one of the other approaches to an RPG, which is several different characters dying recursively, going into the same dungeon. The common factor inside of Rogue is the dungeon. It's a dungeon crawling RPG. There's some things about that I think have been vindicated more over time, especially as new systems have come out and people have like started like getting into board games and learning these mechanics that are not necessarily just about like, oh, what if video games were like movies? And we're really starting to get down to the art of like what makes games. So that's what I'm working on, is taking a turn-based RPG that is inspired by Rogue instead of being inspired by Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, we could
cool.
start talking about the project a little bit. I've made a design document. I was just in the middle of doing some quick edits too,
that's pretty
but
cool.
we can get to the top of it.
I think a roguelike is the main pillar. I think is the procedural generation and replayability. So really, it doesn't really matter what kind of a game you can. It applies to so many things. And ultimately, yeah, you can go ahead. I was talking about the technical stuff, but we can go with design first, and then I'll break down the bad news to you after that.
Yeah. I know that there's gonna be a lot of bad news, but starting off, okay. So I am learning to program. I'm fresh to programming. You know.
Oh, just one
ways.
second.
In terms of programming a game.
The game doesn't exist yet. We are gonna create it. We are gonna attempt to create it.
Yes. What I've been doing in the background and designing out is designing a game which before has been a pen and paper based RPG, just like the same way that D&D is. The game already exists in that form, but the program of the game and the direction I want to go with the game depends upon us programming a game. Now, I've chosen Python. Originally, I was working on this game in PowerShell, and I decided that's insane. Let's work with something that has libraries that I can learn from. But we've moved to Python, the two main languages that I use with my everyday stuff at work, just out of my sheer familiarity with it. And I do think that we can take the project from start to completion using Python and not moving into something more traditional for game design like C++, because the game is not a graphics intensive game. It is fundamentally, as people call it, a menu game. I'm a menu gamer by design. I'm making menu games for menu gamers. So
yeah, it's a terminal game basically. I could interject here because wait, I'll bring up my browser.
Yeah, go for it, please.
So the way that this guy Ken Arnold managed to make it's in 1978 that he made a programming library called Curses, which is a terminal control library for Unix style systems, and it has, you know, it constructs text user interface. So like you're saying, it constructs terminals, menus. That's basically what it does, and that's before computers had really fancy UIs and stuff, and really at the beginning. And he wrote it in C, and that's the library that made the game possible. Because,
yeah,
like,
and curses exist to this day.
We could use it. Yeah.
I actually did come. Like, let's see, which one is this? Is it curse logic? Let me try running this. I'm gonna have to source my them really quick, and then let's try if this is the one that I think is correct. I've got a whole bunch of different things in here where I've been like messing around with trying to ask AI what they think, like whether or not curses would work with this, how to make a game of this type. But let's try curse_logic. Let's see here.
Yeah, so that's the first the first technology we're gonna look at, because it's important. We're designing, we're like brainstorming and stuff. It's important to learn. And yeah, PowerShell. I think one of the first things Tuna said was like, "Hey, I program PowerShell." Like, do you even PowerShell, bro?
It's not the most popular thing in the world. It's probably actually has way more people that use it than don't use it, because it's the new de facto scripting language, or I should say shell language, for Windows operating systems. Some people still obviously use just like CMD basic, batch scripts and stuff, but PowerShell scripts have become like a very huge part of a lot of companies' design and their workflow. I've been using it because what I do with programming in general, and what I've been doing for a while with it, is working with CSV files, working with Excel files, taking data from them, parsing it, using like regex stuff to like send data around a bunch of different systems, reboot systems, pull them to figure out their uptimes. I've been doing a whole bunch of basic server admin BS with PowerShell, so I've gotten familiar with it. And one of the things that I wanted to do with that skill set is, well, how can I apply this to something I care about at all? And I started like making a game in the background, thinking that it would be kind of fun.
Yeah, the video game is the most practical, like it's the most direct application of programming. Like you can program something and see it on screen, so it's better than just sending files around. Like, I get that.
Yeah, it allowed me to learn some stuff about some, things that I typically had not been able to learn inside my company. Like, I have I have this way overworked. I've cut it and rebuilt it and brought it up and down. I have this project that we did at work where what we were essentially doing was taking in a very large CSV file, which contained the names of programs, some metadata about them. When I say programs here, I mean like shows, like television. I work in television or in broadcast generally. And what I was trying to do was take these rundowns that say, okay, here's when the first commercial breaks start and when they end. Here's the second commercial break, yada yada, and use that to automate taking in a video file, cutting it into multiple segments automatically, so that we can then send that out to people to then put in their own proprietary segments, yada yada. And with that, you need to know which channels are getting it, which commercial ad breaks they need removed and don't need. All of this kind of automation work. It has a strong support in things like Python. It has a strong support in things like PowerShell. And those libraries, like, really, they try and make basic stuff like that really intuitive. Like the syntax for operations like that is really intuitive, very easy, because that's what they're designed for. They're high level programming languages. Whenever I tried making graphical UIs in PowerShell, you're basically actually borrowing things from C, C++, C# in some ways, because the SDK for that is really kind of attached at the hip to PowerShell, because that's what Windows wants. It gets way more complicated and the syntax is terrible and the programs look like shit. So I quickly abandoned that and moved towards Python, because there are libraries like Curse that obviously have precedent set. That being said, here, let's get away from that, because programming is not the thing I have a great amount of experience with. I will say straight up for everybody, I am not a programmer. I am a person who is learning how to program. I'm learning how to code. But I have been doing game design for a long time. I've been designing card games, board games for a much longer period of time. And because of that, I can go into the design document, talk about the things I actually know about, and then the swift hammer of reality will strike upon my gentle creation and shatter it to bits. That's your job. So, what is an underscore? Underscore. Oh, do you actually have my screen shared? You've maybe minimized it. I can't see it on my share.
Give me a sec.
You're totally fine. Okay. So I've made sort of a little markdown presentation for you guys. So what is Underscore? Underscore is a turn-based RPG pairing the elemental damage systems of games like Shin Megami Tensei and Pokemon with the progression systems of modern roguelike games like Slay the Spire and Balatro. It's Zoomer slop taken to the umpteenth degree. Let's take two genres, just shove them together, see what we get. Why is it Underscore? It's named after the way pipeline variables are referenced in the original scripting language, PowerShell. It's just why I made the working title, because I was constantly using cache undershell inside of the build. Underscore is named after a core concept of procedural complexity, or rather a game which, like organic life, produces itself by being. So what does that mean? Take it out of the philosophy nerd stuff. Just like you said with Rogue, procedural environments like maps, dungeons were being procedurally generated. Instead, Underscore is taking a favor of having it so that the moves, the combat moves that say in Pokemon would be like Fire Breath or Tail Whip or something like that, are being not AI procedural generated, but they're being procedurally generated through player decisions and actions. So the encounters that you face will be fallen players, other people who have played the game, and when they die, their turn history, the customization they've been making to their moves, the decisions they make, player data is recorded and changes the game. So then a meta develops where people are playing around people, playing around people, playing around people. This is the procedural nature of the game, rather than, say, maps. Because that's another thing. This game is not a map-based game. It is not a plot-based game. It is combat after combat. It's the loop, the game loop, is you enter combat. If you're successful, you get to go to a upgrade screen where you can choose ways that you want to modify your build with a certain resource pool, and then you go to the next combat. Each time that you go through those two steps, you go up a level. The encounters you face are based on the level that you are currently at and the level that the other player was at when they fell. This will kind of allow you to get deeper and deeper in the game and then slowly be encountered with people who have customized their build to a higher degree. So the deeper you get into the game, the more the game is out of my hands. I made the systems, but it starts getting down to more player agency, more player design decisions start making the game go. That's the idea. Can we take that procedural generation and make it a little bit, make it fit into a genre that otherwise it doesn't really make sense for? Because I've seen procedural generation be used for modern games in ways that it looks really bad, in my opinion. For instance, like there was that Eldritch horror game where the characters, like the enemies in the game, were procedurally generated. It doesn't work to me when the hitbox for a creature, in an action game is procedurally generated. That's just like gonna make you mad. I think that this is a form of procedural generation that really does work. And it is worth saying that also, in addition to saving the move history, there is an interpreter.
Okay, well, I mean,
I'm not going to make it so that
procedural generation does not necessarily mean random. There is a randomness component to it often, but I mean, if you are making it manually, if you're in, like, take for example Dwarf Fortress. Dwarf Fortress is procedural generation, but everything, like all of the statistics, they're not all procedurally generated. They have thresholds. They have a min-max algorithm at least. So you don't even have to put the element of randomness. There are reasons why they are implied that we don't have to implement randomness. Yeah, we can just make a tabletop system.
It's systems design, right? You're designing systems, and with those systems, you're designing thresholds where instead of like taking a large amount of control over the system, you have several different components, mechanisms inside of the system. You have it so that some interactions are planned for, the ones that would, break the thing and make it crash. But by and large, you're more so setting thresholds and then letting people play around and letting, as has been termed for Dwarf Fortress and games like it, if you don't want to call it procedural, you can also call it, what's this term? Emergent design, where some of the game is going to emerge from the game merely existing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
but the procedure can be set manually. It's still a procedural generation. It would still fit in the category. I just wanted to interject with that.
Not trying to shit talk myself. I'm just saying that a lot of people, when they hear procedural generation, they're used to the idea that procedural generation as this big insult, because there was a period of time during the PS1 and PS2 era where procedural dungeons were going to change the way that you think of Bloodborne, and you think of like going into Bloodborne and all these procedurally generated dungeons, and it's like, oh great, under-designed slop which nobody really wants to play through. That's not what we're going for. There's a place, there's a time. I'm choosing the place and the time of setting thresholds, creating systems. But anyway, let's move forward. So there's a little bit of technical stuff here we can go into later, but the idea, as I already covered, is that I'm designing systems and frameworks with variables that are changed by players, rather than focusing on this idea of creating a perfectly randomized type of procedural generation. And then there's this other thing here, which is like I hinted at before. When you die, if you succeed, you get to upgrade your character. But when you die, you lose your build. This isn't like you're, oh, I have so many lives. Oh, I can go take my Pokemon back to the nurse and cure them. When you die, just like many other traditional roguelikes, your build goes away. But it doesn't just go away. It gets saved into a database, or maybe just a folder with a bunch of JSON files. We have to think about what the best way to manage that data is, of fallen players, which then updates a server, which you then get to take a chunk of that server's database and that's where your random encounters come from. There are some random encounters that will be programmed. I'm going to be making them and scripting their turns and everything, but we also have a lot of player behavior being recorded, and you are going to be playing. This is often called asymmetrical PvP as opposed to symmetrical. So one player plays, that data is recorded, and then it is sent to another player to play against. Games, auto battlers do this a lot. Games like Backpack Hero or whatever that game's called. I think it's called Backpack Hero. Super Auto Pets, they operate on this thing where the player decisions happen in those games. Auto battlers, player decisions happen during the upgrade screen, and then player execution is automated. I'm attempting to take the decisions that are made in combat and interpret them through some basic rules to try and keep the essence of that player as untouched as possible, but also make it so that their decisions aren't completely stupid. Like if you have a build that, say, uses a move that is only ever situationally available, I don't want the game to be like, well, that situation's not available, I'm just going to not do anything this turn. We will have exception cases, but generally speaking, when you play against another person's build, you are also playing against the decisions they made, more or less. Anyway, we want to serve this updates via API request, where we figure out what level the character is at, the player, and then we don't send, if they're at level 5 and they're 50 levels, we're not going to give them player data for, if they've never made it past level 5, we're not giving you player data, updated player data for levels 30 through 50. That's insane. You're not going to get to level, you're just not good enough. We're not going to waste our time and waste space on your computer. But we have to create an intelligent API request system that basically takes an amalgamation of that player's play history. Anyway, and a good time to do this, during the upgrade screen is a decent time to do this, because that is when they have changed that variable, what level they're at. And it's also a time when players aren't going to be doing anything. They're not in combat. So sending them a server request won't be that hard. Anyway, overall goals. First things first, this is a combat-oriented rather than plot-oriented design. Like I mentioned before, won't go into too much detail on that, but the idea is we're only really making a combat system and a progression system. I'm not writing story and dialogue in an exhaustive way. That's just going to bog the project down. It's also just not really what the game's about. And we're going to focus on this asymmetrical PvP rather than having a live PvP with a real-time server that's sending, information like choices in real time, because I think about games like MTGO, Magic the Gathering Online, Magic the Gathering Arena. I think about the frustration of playing a game that is strategic, or chess, the most famous of all, a game that is strategic. So you want to spend time thinking, but then you also are playing against another person who have to wait upon. Everybody gets frustrated. It's not a good player experience. I think that we don't need that at start. Maybe eventually that can be a thing, but we're gonna err in favor of making asymmetrical multiplayer be the standard that the game uses, because I think that that's a better user experience. We can go into core mechanics a little bit later, but before we go into any of that stuff, I want to take a pause and say, what do you think so far about the plans for what we're doing technologically? Are we shooting too high? Is this scope too insane? Or is it within reasonable bounds?
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, the scope is always important in a sense that you can, when you learn something. So there are some design patterns, you learn it, and it's like, yeah, I can conquer the world. But there's so many details. And so there's something that we gather called the technical debt, but you haven't really talked about anything that would really incur a abnormal technical debt. I think we're fine on that point, but we're gonna have to learn a lot of things about programming and just game design in general.
Sure.
There's a question, T-Cakes from T-Cakes. Will there be a non-cleared progression system that helps pull up the button line of players improve run to run?
Yes. So what I'd like to do, because I don't want to just be completely brutal. I do think that the theme of the game takes on a certain tone, and losing your progress is a part of a lot of games. It's Dark Souls has become popular for, essentially taking people off of the soft familiarity of action RPGs towards like a more roguelike system. But I don't think that that's just always good. It's not that that's just an inherently good design. I'm not just following that for that reason. I think that making people do multiple runs allows us to have people, it forces people to explore different dimensions of the game, because there are 7 elements with 7 different play styles, which can be combined into, 2-element, 3-element, 4-element builds very easily, even 6-element builds. Theoretically, you have 6 moves, you have 4 active moves, 2 banked moves. So like theoretically, there's a lot of game to explore. I'm trying to nudge people in the direction of having to understand the systems more broadly before they get deeper and deeper into customizing their moves personally. That's why I want to make it so that I don't hold the hand too much, but there is some hand holding. The main thoughts that I have on it are, number one, if a player doesn't make it through to level 10, which is roughly, I'm making encounters at least for 10 levels. I'm making a good bank of at least approximately 20 pre-made encounters per level from level 1 to 10, because I have like boss fights. Really the big challenges happen at level 10 most of the time. On your way there, that bulk of data, those scripted events are made such that you aren't, they exist there specifically so that you're playing against characters that have relatively easy, relatively simple, not particularly complicated solutions. So let's say that you, because there's an elemental damage system. Let's say that you are playing against an opponent or you keep playing against opponents that use fire moves. You might become weary of using a plant-based build in such excess if you're constantly losing to fire. I'm willing to put up, say, a little text box at the end of the run that just prints out like why you died, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm also in combat, just like Pokemon. This is Pokemon's best design decision, by the way, is that little text box at the bottom that tells you whether or not the decisions you made are good or not. When you hit somebody with an element that they are weak to, it says, bright as day, it's super effective. That's the kind of player feedback that I think will help people understand. Like, it's not very effective, it's super effective. I have to figure out what I want, either an animation, a sound effect, a text box. I'm probably gonna start with just a text box that gives players active feedback on whether or not the decisions they are making are good. I'm also going to err in favor of having it so that we use color design, we use like literally choosing what colors, and we choose intuitive relationships between mechanics to make it so that learning the game doesn't feel like a sludge fest. To me, if something is unintuitive to every single person that plays it, and it's not like a eureka moment when they learn how it works, it shouldn't be that way. So like, water is strong against fire. That's not ripping off Pokemon. That's acknowledging Pokemon exists. People have a familiarity with that game. That's a language that you have to speak with them in order to make them go. But what does Pokemon not have? Pokemon doesn't have the ability to change the element of your character.
Trying to estimate what kind of gamer you want to go for and what type of gaming illiteracy they have. Like, there are something like you don't have to explain WASD to in every game. Like, sometimes the tutorial is so annoying. It's like, I've done this hundreds of times. But
and I also think that if a player is not making it to level 10, this isn't an insult. It might mean that they're a different type of player. Magic the Gathering has this sort of psychotropic profiles is what Mark Rosewater calls it, one of the lead designers of Magic the Gathering. He talks about this idea that there are different types of players, and it's not that there are people that play different builds or different colors. It's rather that the core motivations for playing the game are different. The three main ones that he describes are Johnny, Timmy, and Spike. And the simplest way to put it is that there are people who like to feel creative. There are people that like to be competitive. And then there are people who like to understand the systems that are happening and do big things, do things that are flashy. Not creative. It's not like, oh, I'm so clever for coming up with this. It's just like, a lot of people call it the rule of cool. They just want to do the cool thing. In Magic the Gathering, it usually is like casting a huge monster that makes every other monster look stupid. It's so small. In other games, it might be setting a trap card in Yu-Gi-Oh! And then using the trap card and getting to have that aha moment, like, I outsmarted you, even though the card is.
I got the best move.
Yeah.
But it's fun. I mean, yeah.
Exactly.
Because you had to. I mean,
cool
you had to like dedicate a little bit of time and effort to understanding the lore and the elements and everything. So it's a fun thing. I mean, it's great because I was looking for. You know, I'm not super good at designing, and like a lot of times I start programming components, and I'm like, okay, what am I gonna do with it?
Yeah.
So you
for me,
you have a lot of you seem to have a lot of ideals that you want to express, that you want to outlet in this game, and that's what I find interesting. I really.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, we talked for a little bit about this. I've read a good amount of philosophy. I'm not an expert or a person who's gone to college, so I won't claim that, but I've been inspired a lot by some philosophy that is referenced in video games already, but I have a different interpretation of. I've read some basic philosophy, and I've read some stuff that went a little over my head, but also inspired me. So a little bit of that has gone into design. Like, for instance, Shin Megami Tensei. So SMT,
yeah, you did mention that,
as a series is very similar lore-wise to Dark Souls, in that it is about this idea of the death of the world, what it means that, like, desire eternal life but not have it, what would it mean if you got your wish. Things like that are explored in a lot of media all the time. But the thing that's explored in SMT 3 Nocturne, and to various extents the other games, that I think is the most interesting about it, is this idea of, like, well, what would happen if man were to get to remake the world, and remake the world with a little bit of their own conceit in mind. So in SMT, the world is ending, and a couple of children from Tokyo somehow survive a cataclysmic event in which demons now exist and the world's like on fire. It's kind of like Persona. Obviously, Persona is a sub. It's an offshoot of the SMT series, but where Persona is like the events leading up to Apocalypse, SMT starts with the Apocalypse, and that's what's so cool to me. That series in general is about, like, the world has ended and a small number of people still exist. What are you going to do now that it's ended? SMT 3 explores this idea of making an appeal to the gods, making an appeal to the symbolic forces which will generate a new world afterwards. And one of them believes in this idea of silence and order and peace, this idea of a world of stillness where nothing bad happens because nothing happens. Another one believes in this idea of the right of power, that the thing that went wrong with the world is that the powerful became too sensitive to the wills of the weak. You know, your standard sort of fascistic character, he makes appeals and he's like working with the demons, and he's very emboldened by the fact that he has become powerful by having a role in creating the new world. And then there's you have this sort of third faction, the chaos faction, which essentially says, to not the providence of man, the reconstruction of the world. The reconstruction of the world is itself, and the world is something more complicated than man could conceive of. I instead will accept the chaos of the world and grin and bear it. And there's a wisdom there that is sort of like, it makes sense. It's sort of Jainist. It's got some philosophy in there that's like religious in character. But I think there's something else really, really inspiring there, which is to talk about this idea of like, how do you express big concepts like that in media? You do it mechanically. You don't just like say it. That's not that, people don't want to read a book, bro. Put the fries in the bag. Well, what if the fries were peppered with the sweet, savory taste of philosophy? So I want to make it so that game systems.
That would be sweet, especially if it's about dead people. I'm into it.
Yeah. So okay, if the setting wasn't already covered by you before, I'll touch this really lightly. I don't want to go into too much because if we get lost in the lore, you can talk lore to death, and it can get really boring really quick. But this game.
Hi, thank you for showing up, Rio. Take care. Have a good one.
See you, buddy. This game takes place on an island, in a specific part of an island. The history leading up to this game, the sort of backstory is that the island was a place that was sort of like a Bermuda Triangle-esque area, where the interesting thing about it is that the natural forces of the area were very subdued. There was no wind. There was no rain. There was no fire. There was no exposure to the things that are vital and chaotic, inspired by this thing from SMT3. What would it mean to be a place of stillness? It would be an absurd place. Plants did not grow because there was no rain. That which existed didn't really change because there was no wind to push it around. And accordingly, it was a strange and very sought-after religious location. What eventually happens on the island, for reasons I won't go into, is that a cataclysmic event, a mountain at the center of the island, sort of sets off the introduction of change. A volcanic eruption happens. Suddenly the winds start going. The water around, once sort of still and easy to navigate, becomes chaotic and filled with torrential tides. The lava that pours down from the mountains gets down to the forest-ish area, sort of the brushland, lights it ablaze, and then suddenly the roots, which were contained inside of this relatively lifeless land, become perpetually on fire, and a jungle starts growing out of the sort of carbon that is produced by the thing. So the idea is, imagine a world where, much like, God touching the world. In the beginning there was nothing, and then there was something. Take that to a less literal interpretation. Say, at first there was stillness, and then there was motion. The game explores the idea of what would happen in the aftermath, people's theories about it, they're contesting. Eventually, you get to the setting of the game where war. That's what happens, basically. War. Lots of war. One really big religious war surrounding the previous place of the mountain, where one of the factions has sort of taken on a blood cult, an idea of reconstructing their fatherland, because they used to live in the mountains, out of a towering mountain of dead bodies. A sort of blood prophecy that the fatherland will be reborn, a pile of flesh, every living creature on the island killed and tossed into the mound. The game takes place on the mound.
That sounds wonderful.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful, truly. So the game takes place on the mound, the eternal sort of blood war. You were a person walking up the mound, attempting to get to the top of it, because depending on which faction you're in, what elements you're associated with, there are different theories about how the war will end. One faction believes that if only we could harness the magical power, the elemental forces which came about because of the eruption, we would be able to end this war and make, humanity have a good life by harnessing those forces. Another believes this is a, festering wound in the sky that needs to be healed. We need to go bring the essence of life to this to heal this rupture in the fabric of space. Another believes that this is an opportunity to incarnate a flesh version of their deity, and then another believes, actually, everything's fine. This is good. The whole world should be a constant war. So I take this kind of concept that I found inspiring side of SMT. Like, what would happen if suddenly you had more power than man is really able to be trusted with? And then how could I express that mechanically by creating the different elements and mechanics surrounding it? So keeping that what it is, the roguelike system, progressing the levels, facing people that are higher up the mound. This is you walking up that mound of flesh, at first facing really weak enemies, people who died, and fighting their ghosts at the sort of base, and then working your way to the peak, attempting to be the one to get to the top, the king of the hill, as it were, and harness the force. And this is where mechanically the idea that when your character dies, their data gets saved is because the mound inside of this plot is magically imbued with a sort of perpetual life force that is keeping it's keeping these bodies in a sort of zombie-like state where they die, but then they're reborn in a sort of like ethereal form, an ephemeral form, which is animated by and uses the natural forces in order to, fight. Yeah, they're forever reliving their last fight. That's the game. I won't go into any more plot because it'll bore you to death. But systemically, mechanically, we're representing that. That's what I'm going for. Is this idea of, and that's also why this is a combat-only game. There are some motivations, but those motivations will be seen through the names of the moves, the way the characters introduce themselves in combat. I am thinking about having a bark system where, if you don't already know, in game design, a bark is where a character says an initial line when you first discover them. It's very common in RPGs for just a single sentence to be said as the character introduces the fact that you are fighting them. It's a little bit of flavor here and there, but no cutscenes, no puzzles. I mean, it's a combat-only kind of game.
Well, I could jump in and talk a little bit about the boring stuff. So basically, when the two main the two main design patterns we're gonna pay attention to is wait, I pulled up Rex Paint. I'll get my browser again.
Yep. I can see it.
So we're gonna have to handle finite states. Basically, you want to have each of your characters is gonna be following, like you said, component systems, and then every time a character object is created, it's gonna be an entity, and then we're gonna have a method that's gonna save the entity, do that, the whatever initialization message, like the barking you talk about. That can be a good way to initialize it, and then.
Okay.
But basically, what happens is that you create the entity and then you register it into a how is it called? I'm gonna pull a book here. So, because basically what you want to do, you want to have a finite state. You want to be able to get all of the parameters of that object at that precise moment, where you need it. So when you kill them, basically, am I correct? When you kill when you kill an NPC, or when you die, you become an NPC. But when you that would be it. Okay.
Yeah. So the way the game operates, and I can actually pull up some basic code and talk through some things. So let's go to GD, not that. UN, and then. But
yeah, what we need to build before I forget about it, because I smoke a lot of weed. It's a constraint. It's called a constraint solver. That's what we're gonna need. So the pattern is called a Memento pattern. It's easy to remember, Memento, and it needs a constraint solver. It needs the solver state. So it needs like a static states, and it's gonna need a constraint solver. Is that what you mentioned? Is it checks what the base, like the default state of that object. So let's say we have an NPC, we have an entity, we call it a cultivist, we call it a reincarnated cultivist. Well, that object is going to have a state when it's initialized. You have an interface that already exists inside of your register that's going to expect an entity that fits with the parameters of a cultivist, reanimated cultivist.
Sure.
And then the constraint solver, what it's going to do, it's going to compare. It's going to be, okay, what are the things that are different? And then it's going to create a new object, basically, a new entity that's going to return a new object. And that object is it gets registered. You can determine generally it's going to be at each frame, with the delta time at each updates. So it's not really a problem. But then you can lower that because that's not very good for memory. So there are solutions. That exist that are completely how could I say it? That are default patterns for programming that are gonna solve a bunch of the things that you mentioned. Like, it is completely possible to create this kind of thing. I don't know why. There might be reasons why it's not being tried much. I've seen it in what's that name? Children of Morta. Yeah, TKX is lost. Like, that's too technical.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's say it this way. This genre of game kind of exists, and people have been dancing around it for a while. So the question is it not being made, or do we not have good versions of it yet because everybody's making something else right now and it's just kind of been not done yet? Or is there something in the way, something technical? You're saying it seems like, reasonably speaking, there's nothing technical getting in the way. This is just something
there's not.
That other
there
people
are solutions for your intent completely in the in the default programming handbook.
I mean, I've pulled this up right now. What I'm currently doing and how I've managed that so far is I have 2 classes that I've defined. Basic structs. I've only really got, make dummy, like they are objects, but they just don't have that much going on in term. I don't really like doing a lot of functions that say I use per object functions or per class functions usually just for debugging. I tend to allow my functions to exist outside of them. But for instance, here we have one called meta character, and a meta character in this instance is just your character outside of combat. The reason it matters is because things that happen to your character inside of combat don't follow through to the outside of combat in this game. It works the way that Slay the Spire does to a certain extent, in that if you have any wounds or status effects, you lose them at the beginning of the next game. In addition, though, you also heal to max HP. You think of it like a card game. So I've got a meta character here, which has a bunch of
But there's not going to be any persistence between combats, basically. What's the persistence?
There's no
okay.
The persistence is between upgrades. So the meta character gets modified in the upgrade system, and then in combat, the meta character is a object that is used to produce a combat character, which is another class down here. So we have meta character and then combat character. Combat character adds more stats that only matter and exist inside of combat, and that it also just initializes variables that it learns from the meta character.
That's cool. I mean, the finite state machine is definitely what we need, because what you're defining is, it's a fixed state. You're gonna have a basic interface that's gonna be your default character. It has 10 HP. It has there's a tune. I think I did make a little stub of a character, but I didn't test it or anything. But I don't think we're there yet. We're still designing, but
sure, yeah, that makes sense.
The finite state, that's what you're gonna need. It basically compartmentalizes. And then I think it's absolutely feasible. Basically, your combat state character, once it dies, once it enters combat, it can be saved. If there isn't any dynamic components, that's pretty easy.
Yeah, yes. So that is actually how it works. So if I go here, so I'm in my functions.py, but I can leave this real quick, go to the character thing. So let's go to the combat character, and you'll see that on the combat character there's a list here, a list that will be filled out with dicts, which take in a variety of bits of information about your chosen move, and it saves it to the turn history. This is how I've been conceiving of it so far. So you've got these various bits here. Actually, I just realized chosen move is not on here, so we can go ahead and add that. Chosen move is where? So self dot chosen.
Well,
move.
the code you gave me, basically how it looks is the player has three, like, I don't know if it was blessings or attunements. It has three like status effects, and then temperament as a fourth argument.
I'm not sure which one you're looking at, because I have this. I can always show you stuff that I have on screen and push it. But like, for instance, here, if I run that character script, and I made this in prep so we can see this. Let's just do Python 3 car. First, wait, hold on. Are we in the right folder? Oh no, I have to actually go into my thing. Same thing. So, and then I have to. Is my Vim not activated? What are we doing? ls underscore. Yeah, we gotta actually activate it. I activated a different Vim from a different project. Okay. So.
Those are Vim problems. Those are. You gotta use Vim to understand.
Yeah. Oh
Me,
no.
I can just click things.
One Tmux. Trust me, I've used VS Code before, and I was fucking up Vim when I was in VS Code too. So this isn't. Don't put it on the tools.
Best of both worlds.
Put it on me. Put it on me. That's a tuna problem. So let's just go ahead and run this here.
TKIC says any debuffs or status effects gained during combat are resolved after combat, but upgrades are permanent. So like
exactly. So here, I've got this, and this will be illustrative. This is a meta character being produced. We're gonna give it a name. It's gonna be called Glup Shido, and then when I do that, we get printed out a quick example of what stats you would see on a meta character. So on a meta character, we have the name, we have the level, the number of elites slain initializes to 0. Bless burden, this is how many blessings you've taken, initializes to 0. Your max HP, we start with 10 in this game. Attunements, so this currently is just turns that you've been attuned. They're all going to be 0. There's also a bool, which represents whether or not you are attuned. And then there's a subfeature, which is like ignores, I believe. Or actually, no, not on this one. On this one, it's turns. Doesn't matter. That's under the hood. You don't care about that. Status is here, all initialized to 0, but there's also an extra feature that would show if you were immune to due to one of your blessings. So blessings permanently change the character. They're like relics in Slay the Spire, or in some cases, some of the blessings have triggered effects, which are akin to, say, I mean, games like Hearthstone have abilities that you can activate. Some of the blessings in the game are abilities that you can activate just once, but you have to like click on them. The idea of a blessing is that it is persistent. It's something that's on your character until that character dies. Blessings also modify like what moves do. So down here, this is just a default description, but let's say that there was an electric move. An electric move by nature has a meta element electric. It deals electric damage, but there are blessings that can change what type of damage your moves do. You could have a fire type move that deals water damage if you really wanted to. It'd be weird to do. You'd have to have a reason to do it because the costs for doing it are like, you're probably turning down a different type of upgrade that has a more obvious benefit. But in general, the idea of the game is that the meta character exists to record permanent changes to your moves, and to record the initial values for the construction of the combat character. Otherwise, it defaults to a whole bunch of zeros and some really basic stuff. If you're in a plant build, one of the blessings you have access to increases your max HP, for instance. It's pretty intuitive that that would be what a plant build would be able to do. That's what persistence in this game looks like. Damage that you have if you're at 1 health at the end of a combat doesn't matter. You survived. You lived. You're going to get healed back to max HP no matter what you are at the start of the next combat.
Yeah, so you don't have to worry about. Yeah, I mean, I get the combat style. That's pretty cool. And
then
when the combat resolves, then you get, that's when you obtain, or that's when you resolve, like you're gonna get some upgrades, or you're gonna get some more blessings, or as a result of the combat, or.
Yeah, so at the end of the combat, so here, this is why Bless Burden exists as a trait. So let's go into the core mechanics, and that will be explained inside of this probably the most efficiently and elegantly. So we've got 7 elements with distinct playstyles and mechanics. Some of them are proactive, some are reactive. The basic idea of elements is that you become attuned to them. You aren't fire type by default. In Pokemon, Cyndaquil is going to be a fire type no matter what it tries. It's always going to be a fire type, so it's always going to be weak to water. In this game, rather, you take on elemental associations per the decisions you make in combat. When you use an attack, an offensive move, you become attuned to the element of that move. And then because you're attuned to it, you take on the weaknesses, resistances, etc. This is the damage calculation per the move element, aka the damage being dealt to you, and the target attunement. You as the target of damage, what elements are you attuned to?
Okay.
You can have as many of those.
You can have as many of those. Okay, cool. And then
yeah, you can have.
What the programmatically, what it's gonna look like in the constructor is that you're gonna pass these attunements as arguments in the constructor.
Yeah, exactly. So if I go to here, we can look at some functions that I have. So mvim function. One of the functions we have here is called make attune, and I've got two different attune ones: make attune and negate attune. So it takes the argument of an element and then the target, whether or not it's going to be you or your opponent, and then it says, basically, if the first thing is publicity, which we can get into later, but these last two here are the ones that matter. If you are attuned, if you are not attuned to that element, you become attuned to that element, which, as we saw on the character before, right? As you saw on the character before, where are we? Character's right here, man. It's just not capital. As you see this, the combat character has a association for each of these attunements. For element in elements, self attunements, inits to 0, is public false, is attuned false. So we'll set that to true. At the end of a turn, if is attuned is set to true, turns goes up by 1. Then
is there a reason why you made variable scope a ball? A bool,
do you mean?
I mean, it says public true or false.
Yes. So it inits to false. So what does publicity mean for attunements? Generally speaking, you start not pre-attuned. All the attunements are 0. This is not always true. There are moves in the game and blessings in the game which start you attuned to an element. And if you are attuned, I want it to be private information that is discovered through damage calculation. There's a hidden information game inherent to the game. So the reason that you could be is attuned could be true. See over here, for blessing and self-death blessings, if blessing inits element blessing inits element, self.attunements attunement turns 1. I haven't added the modifier of the bool because before we weren't using a bool. But the reason I changed it is that. So attunements element. Come on, you idiot. Element is attuned equals true. And we are no longer doing fancy math with that. So why does that matter? There's a publicity to status effects that is very obvious because each status effect is gonna like have an animation, you see it happening, but attunements are private so that you can have little tricks in the game where you fight an enemy and you don't know whether or not they're pre-attuned at all. So if you attack somebody with fire damage and then suddenly they heal instead of taking damage, oh, they must be attuned to water privately, which means I can attack them with this thunder attack and that will be critical against them. I should not be using fire moves against this guy. I want to make it so that it's not
okay, so you're not
obvious.
so you're not actually changing the. I think it's a bad idea because it would imply that it's a variable scope. So you should just change the name. I mean, the functionality is fine, but just like.
What do you mean? Why would I change is public?
Because you don't. I mean, unless I'm mistaken, you don't really need to create a bool for that. You can just set your variable as public or not.
Well, it changes. It changes. So depending on which one. So whenever you cast a spell of that publicly initializes it. The reason I have it as is public or not is because the UI element will show whether or not, like there is a bar that shows what the enemy is attuned to, but it only shows what they are publicly attuned to. That's why there's a bool there. It's a flag that
but
tells.
I mean, it's part of your game's logic, basically.
Yes.
So it could be mistaken for the variable scope within the programming language, which is often referred to as public, private.
Oh, sure. I mean, if that's what you're thinking,
that's what I mean. It can interact with Python. Yeah. There are many libraries that use it, I think.
If you want me to just,
but I thought that's what you were doing. I thought that's what.
If you want this,
that was your intent, and I was like, well, we can just use with or just switch statements or stuff like that. But
that is not what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
That is not what it is. So it is logic for the UI. It is logic for the UI. I want to make it so that when people look at their opponent.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming a lot. Take care. Have a good day.
The reason that it's named is public is not based on Python's like inherent functions. Yeah, it's named that specifically
cool.
for
I was wondering.
This element is known or like is known by the opponent or something like that. It also changes how the AI interacts, because the AI, if you are publicly attuned to water and it has a thunder move, I want it to know that it should use that thunder move or it should not use fire moves based on your attunement. If you catch my drift.
I do. So I guess I can. I guess I do.
Okay, sorry.
It's more like is attuned or not attuned.
Sure, but is attuned and is public are two different things. Because is attuned can be private. You can be privately attuned. You can be attuned to an element and have it not be known by your opponent.
Okay, I get it. Okay,
cool.
You can. Sorry. Yeah, okay. There are some you can see, and I guess your character is gonna have some sort of ability to be able to see those. Okay, I get why public, private.
Yes, yeah, that's what public means in this instance. It's not.
We could change the. There should be a name that's within lore, because it can fit within the lore. Like it could be like I don't know, something dark related to death.
Maybe. I mean, you could say it that way. I've named it public, and
yeah, that's good
because it's intuitive, and it also allows us to have a function here that has a intuitive name, which make public, make secret, or make private, whatever you want to call it. Or what it does is so there are mechanics in the game that will explain this even more. But imagine, analogously, instead of going into the mechanics of the game for a second, imagine a game where you have a hand of cards and then you have cards in play. The cards in your hand are private. Your opponent doesn't get to know which card is which, and if they ever use something that wants to select one of them, they don't get to know which one of the objects in your hand is which one, even if they've used an ability that lets them see that hand before, because in deck of card games, you manipulate that information. It remains private in order to sort of allow you to have this private information game underneath. It allows decisions to be strategic, where you hide information from your opponent. In that instance, if you play a card and then some ability in the game puts that card back into your hand, you need the ability to flip on and off the publicity of that object. You could argue that, well, the banked zone, or like the hand, is a private zone, and the board is a public zone. But that's how other games work. In this game, instead of having a hand, we have two different pools. One pool, we have two different pools. Each object inside can be private or public, and things move from one pool to another. And when they do, an inherent part of moving from one pool to another is that they become public or private based on that movement. If something is publicly known and it moves to, if you bounce a move from the active pool to the banked move pool, I want the move to become private, because while things are in the bank, there are abilities that allow you to change privately what the banked card's logic is. We are getting too in the weeds about game design for me to go into it without wasting time. But the simple point is, there is a reason for those functions. There is a reason for
that's
those
all right.
variables.
That's gonna be recorded, so we can. It's kind of like when journalists had their little like they would talk to their little machine. I always dreamed to have that, by the way, like the little recorder machine, so we can go back in the past.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I'm thinking about the programming aspect. There's gonna be some boilerplate to do before we can get into creating characters with that much complexity. But that's fine. That's all good.
I mean, let's put it this way. Simplest thing to say is that in this game, because it's a menu-based game, it's not an action game. There are no timers. We don't have to refresh data on a delta. The game waits for you to do something, and then once you do something, it then changes the variables, loads the changes into the UI, the representation of the changes, performs a few print statements, and then returns you back to the part where it's waiting on you. The idea of the sort of operator machine relationship here is that you're taking turns back and forth between one another, but instead of these turns being like on a timer that is frame rate based, we don't even have to build that system out. We probably want to, in order to make it so that animations can exist. We want to make it so that we can refresh the system, but we don't need it to be checking a whole bunch of logical operations there. We really only need animations, changing screens, loading visual things to happen on those.
That's not something we should focus too much on. I mean, we can just leave the because the computer's gonna do it anyway, but like we don't have to patch it like you're saying, but update needs, because I remember that I was talking on Reddit. It's Reddit, fuck, it's a Reddit story. I'm bringing that. I interrupted you with a Reddit story, but there was a guy who was like, my game won't have delta time. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but he was really on like this esoteric journey to make a game without delta time, and just made a bunch of complex shit that were completely unnecessary just to make that point, like that his game is not going to be a oh, what's up, Duck, how you doing?
Hey Duck, thanks for stopping by.
Whee. Let's not get trapped into that. When I listen to you, sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to stop him. But then I'm like, no, let him cook, cause it's cool. I like.
I mean, I'm saying that we don't need to use delta time for logical
We
operations because
don't.
it's not
No.
an action game. But we do need delta time, and delta time has a place in the fact that it is a computer program that is going to have like animations, and you want animations to not suddenly look weird because people are using hardware that has inconsistent performance. We don't want it
But
to make like
we.
you want to skip forward frames
Yeah.
if you need to, or avoid the skipping of frames if for some reason somebody's, God knows how many gigabytes of illicit material they're downloading while they're playing the game on the side, second monitor content or something. The computer slows
I don't
down
think
for
it.
some unknown reason. We want to be able to make it so that the game doesn't, it survives that. It doesn't suddenly break down into a million pieces.
That's not going to be a concern. So I could jump in and explain a little bit what I've done. So we worked a little bit together. I think, like right now, it's good because that's the announcement. The announcement of Underscore. I also have a game that I want. I have a dream game as well, but I don't know. I like this vibe. It's just like I wrote you. I was like, hey, do you want to co-host a stream? And I'm thinking, okay, I'm not expecting a lot of people to be there and watch it, so let's make it into some sort of an archive. Let's make a devlog.
Sure.
And I really like I like this energy and how you're passionate about making that game, and I'm like, yeah, I think I can help in bringing some really simple things like the finite state machine. What it does, it's really simple. It's extremely simple. So I have it on screen right now. It really just changes the states. So I'll go through the code a little bit.
Sure.
First. So it's a Python project. So you have to create a virtual environment. I think I kind of forgot. No, everything's fine.
Yeah, do what you need.
All right. Basically, what it does, when I start it, it just it has three states. Okay, I'll go through. That's Bootstrap. So here's the main file. It basically is an extremely simple loop. So it just registers those are static states. So intro state, it's here. It's inside of the folder states. And if I drag it, it's right there. What it does is basically it's a canvas where you're gonna code stuff in the intro. So basically here, what my main file. So I have my intro state. What my main file does, it registers it, and then it says, well, that's the initial state, intro. And so when I start the program, it's gonna run this, and that's what's gonna be in the loop. So there is an update, like the functions are empty right now, but there is an update function. So, but it is like it updates 60 FPS or like whatever your system goes. Even if you remove delta time, it's still gonna do it. Like it still needs it for the logic. So even if we make the way I see it is, we've got this technology where computers, they can run a bunch of code. Like we could make so much code before it would impact the performance. And so we have this crazy technology that we can apply to 1980s game. I really like that idea, and make it into a terminal game. So this is what I've done, is basically just a really simple game loop. So when I start the program, so I make Python.
You were making fun of me for Vim problems. Look at you, man. You're going through a million menus just trying to get your virtual environment started.
It's because I'm using push to talk, and my push to talk sort of interact. I hate it. I'm gonna have to change it.
I'm just giving you shit back. I'm just giving you shit back.
Well deserved. So Python main py. Alright, so it starts, it really just starts a terminal thing. It says intro, type continue to proceed. So you can see here, that's what I've done. I've made a function here, def handle input. The only input I got is it's just asking if input lower, continue. So it's saying if you get, you know, if I type continue, return menu. So if I type continue, here it's gonna send a signal to my main file, which is currently inside it. It's currently with an intro, but that's what it does. And here inside my main file, it's telling me, okay, print the stuff. FSM render is print the stuff. And then user input is like it makes this this little arrow thing. Basically I've defined it here into user input, and then the only thing basically that the main loop has to handle is if I want to quit. So if I want to quit, all I've done is I said if user input quit, break. So it just breaks out of the program.
And then so basically we to build out this state machine, all we have to do is go to the different states that we're in and manage the logic for like what options are available at what time. And just make it so that. Okay, yeah.
And instead of creating the whole logic of everything, of all the states and the switching and the handling, all you got inside of the individual state is the actions that this state is gonna have to do. So if you get a combat state, and it's like, okay, what it's gonna do is gonna get character. So we're gonna have to make a function that's like get the character, and it's gonna get the state of the character that you're talking about out of combat, like the permanent state.
It'll take the meta character object struct that already exists. It will use that to initialize a combat character instance, and then that happens at the beginning of that state. So we're introducing the call of the functions at their appropriate times, which is a combat has been entered. First thing we need to do that. Then we need to get an encounter. That encounter is being chosen based on variables that are on the character. So we build the character first, then we build the opponent, then we load the screen. We switch state from the initial combat state to a sub-state or a continued state, which is when the character objects have been loaded and everything, and now it's time for the player to make input. In this case, and just choosing their first move or something.
It just like in an index in programming, you have a head and you have a tail, and so your states are basically like that. So you're gonna always have sort of a floating state that's gonna be called next state or just next. In Python, it's pawn. No, that's not pawn. That's star quargs. So that means any kind of any amount of named argument. So it's gonna take all the arguments for the attunements or blessings that you called, and it's gonna append them into the argument. So, but then I mean, here I'll just show you. I got. The only thing that the intro state does is it listens for input, and then if it gets continue, it proceeds. It goes into menu. So
okay, sweet. So yeah. In this instance,
and then it also prints it for debug, because I kind of wanted to show that this function returns menu, and then it opens the menu state. So now I'm no longer inside of intro, I'm inside of menu.
So am I correct then that without like fleshing out the content of the options from the various arguments, what we're essentially doing is having a single function that you feed arguments, for instance, like a list of options, and then based on those fed arguments, it builds a user input function that is, respective to wherever you are in state. So if you're in combat, obviously we want combat options. If you're in a different state, well, here's a new list of options, yada yada yada.
Yeah,
I mean, is there anything?
And then you can use this state machine. It basically, you can use this within. You can make a state machine inside of the state machine inside of the state machine. So we can make.
Okay.
So right now I have intro menu running. So you can
Nested loops.
Yeah, and you can also have like in menu. You can see the difference is the only difference is that it returns two different states. So basically here, if user input is start, it returns the running state. So I don't have to do all of the operation. I just need to say return running, and my finite state machine doesn't have to contain all of the states. It just remains like that. You don't need to play with it once it's set up. All I have to do is register in the main loop, or ultimately we're not going to put that in the main loop, but it's just easier. Well, it's cool. I like to build stuff on the main loop and then I move it out.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But all you need to do is just create a state, like build one very simply here, and then it can be whatever you want. You can define, so it will have the basic enter, exit, update, render, handle, input. Generally, you're gonna put all of the logic in update. It doesn't necessarily, like I didn't put delta time there, so it will not. It won't register delta time because we're doing a turn-based thing. So I read a little bit about it, and then you can have like, so the intro I can't go back to it, so you can it's nice. I like to start simple and then develop into more complex things later.
Sure. No, that's going to be what is a good starting place, because I can build that out and experiment with that structure.
Yeah, and then everything, the stuff that's getting passed around, it's just one string, which represents basically the whatever finite state you want to return. So it makes it more simple and scalable. And then we can make a state machine that's going to be called combat state machine, or combat state handler.
Yep. And then you'll have a upgrade state, and then you'll have an upgrade state handler, and the idea being that we have this loop that's going through, which has on ramps and off ramps for the different states. Certain states can go into one another, and when they do in different ways, they go to different ones. And then I guess what you would say is that because this is all contained in the main loop would be, okay, intro screen, you can look at your options, you can start a new game, you can load an old game, or you can quit the game. Everything then is a sub loop with its own sub loops. But what happens when you lose the game? You get thrown back into the title screen to then choose what you want to do. Do you want to do another run? Do you want to quit?
Yeah, so that really that goes a long way. All games pretty much have that. You've seen there are some games that are really esoteric and are like, we're stateless game. I've seen a stateless game made in Odin. It's kind of funny. It's like impressive. I like those people who have esoteric coding projects, but I'm not good enough.
Well,
and then what's cool is because this state, it's completely encapsulated, and what I was talking about is what I'm gonna do this week, and I'm gonna make a module to be able to make an interface between your characters and the state machine. So to be able to render the characters, we could get together too. That would be cool. Not necessarily stream it.
Well, yeah, in general,
it would be nice if we can get good enough to stream live. I would like that, but let's not get ahead.
That's ideal. Yeah, you don't gotta talk shop to death. Yeah, we got it. I get that. I think like if you just go on and you talk about, because that's the other thing is that like, I'm here talking about this. This is time where I could be doing coding of the game. So there are we have names that we're not supposed to name, and we have sentences we're not meant to utter, but when people spend too much time talking and not enough time doing, it's a problem. So yeah, I don't want to fall into that pattern. So don't worry.
No, I get that. There's also I like to talk about it because I want to sort of like egg other people into either. Well, I mean, it would be cool if people can come to us, be like, hey, I have an idea, and we can sort of make it happen. That would be my ideal dream.
Yeah. No, I agree. And yeah, part of the fact that I'm doing all of this in open air is the fact that I know that I'm not a seasoned programmer by any extent. So I need to learn. And then simultaneously, any learning that is done in public or any help that comes in public, it saves the people a little bit of time. Yeah, we stand on the shoulder of giants, as they say, or whatever. So yeah, I agree. If I get some progress and it's something that we want to share, I'm cool to share it again. But for now, I agree. Announcement the project. We can work on stuff in the background, and then I'll gladly come on and show progress if it's something substantial that I think I'm proud of. I have no issue with that.
Awesome. So we got a working state machine. That's the first component.
Mm-hmm.
It's not much. It's really not much, but it's working.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I've got a lot of these functions inside of that list there that I'm so just all those functions, the way that I'm building on my side, which I guess doesn't necessarily, it probably won't affect how the state machine works, but the way that I'm building is that because the moves are modular and the variables that are called upon via the moves are able to be changed and then fed. Moves are a list of functions that happen in a certain order that pipes information from the output of one another, that you are able to change the arguments for the initial or the middle or the last function, et cetera, and that's how I'm having it so that people can modify what the moves do in game or how we do this. So when we have this function thing, I'm making these functions very componential, or whatever you want to call it. The idea being is that these
modular.
are
I think the
modular.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I am
It's a
going
very
to. I was
modular
planning on maybe. Well, I don't want to touch your code that much, but I was planning on splitting it further. Like, it would be really cool if we could split it into components and systems without necessarily following a strict ECS pattern. But it's just making it modular. Is
I have
really,
zero issue with it, especially considering you can just like fork it and cut it up how you want. If it works and and I learn a better way to organize the project from it, all the better. You know what I mean? So yeah, go ahead.
Just the hardest part is to get started, I guess.
Sure. Yeah. No, makes sense to me. Well, here, man. Let's get this back on a pretty, firm track, and then see what else do you want to know about the game, or do you want to cover before we close up this segment of it?
I think it's a good moment to close up. I was thinking about adapting to a library, so python-libtcod. It is quite, it's you look at it and it's complicated.
Yeah, no, I looked around at a couple of the Python 2e libraries, GUI libraries.
But I think it would just be a matter of taking your character components, thinking all of the stuff that because they do have an ECS system in it, but we don't have to use it. It's just that it's generally good to sort of comply to what people who are more intelligent have come up with. So that's how I sort of get away with it. Like, I look at what they've done and I try to do the same.
Yeah. If we're gonna use a visual library that already exists, and I think that'd be a good idea because it's the first project, I don't need to make my own. I don't need to understand how Vulkan shaders work. That's beyond me and beyond what I want to do with the project for now. Although eventually, that's an eventuality. But
with SDL, we would just take a PNG of a TTF or a PNG.
Sure.
Yeah, the PNG works pretty good. It's easier to render an image than to just write down directly with the hardware.
Yeah, we don't have to do the true text kind of stuff. We can do, but regardless, however we're doing it, The idea is we only have so many pages, so we have different screens that we need to make. We need to make a title screen, we need to make a combat screen, an upgrade screen, and then from there, different variations on those three. And because the game is so simple, really, the complexity of these systems is a little bit more approachable from that fact.
Yes.
So we build out the game logic and then port that into an existing visual library. I don't think that last hump is actually as big as it could be for something where someone's doing something really complicated. Like if we were making a Mario, we'd be having to work really tightly with tools like this. But because we're not making a bunch of levels that are visually distinct.
I did have one question I forgot. Yeah,
go for it.
What about the geography of it? Like because in a lot of python-libtcod, there's a lot of what about it? How does the combat happen? Do you walk around, or is there always it's more like a card game, you said?
It feels the way that a card game does. So like in Slay the Spire and Balatro and any of these other menu-based games, the two components of the loop are the upgrading the character and then the combat. And inside of combat, a similar loop happens where it's when you're doing things and then when the game is showing you the consequences of those actions based on the variables that are currently true. So I'm not looking to have characters walk around space. I don't need that. I think that that's fluff, so I'm not doing it. If we ever were to sort of narrativize the game, it would be through images that show during loading screens or like little strings of text that play when you're done upgrading that basically say like your character, like after your upgrades, you get up from the campfire and you continue your march. Nothing super special. It'll mostly be okay, combat upgrade, die, start new run. That's the loop I'm going for. Down to the boiler, down to the.
Okay, cool.
I don't need
we won't use libtcod then. I like libtcod, but it would be overkill. It doesn't fill that intention. So I'm looking at what I'm looking at right now. Is another library called Blessed. Okay, we can change the tech stack on because what we need to do is we need to render a terminal, a console. It can work with clicks as well. We can render a terminal with clicks, but I mean libtcod, I don't think it fills that intention. I thought there was gonna be some sort of a geographic positioning within the game.
Not for this. Not for this. I mean, I'm looking at this blessed thing. Obviously, it seems to be a reference to curses, where they're just modifying the library a little bit. I'm looking at it right now. This stuff looks plenty good.
It looks pretty. Yeah, I've looked a little bit because I was like, maybe I misunderstand, so I'll just look into terminal libraries, and this one looks pretty cool. Yeah.
This one looks sick, and this one also. I'm looking at the animated sliders, text, things like this. It's working pretty strictly with the ASCII characters. That is not an issue to me. I have no issue with that, and because of that, I think that this library is just fine.
All right. It looks
cool,
a little
man.
bit less complicated. Hey, did you need to go?
Yeah, I was gonna say I've got to go relatively soon.
That's
so
all good.
I wanted to just close things up and basically say like what we're looking to do with this going forward. So if we have other libraries that we want to look at, I'm gonna look at the Blessed documentation on my own time. But I'm seeing here, this just from what they're showing on this front page.
And it's much more simple. It looks much less complex to learn than libtcod.
And it also seems like the type of thing where I don't know how to put this better than the more approachable our code base is, the more that people who are like, because I wouldn't describe either of us as being particularly experienced with it, but like other people are even less. Considering we're doing this open source, if people are looking at this, the more that the graphical element is approachable, and understandable, the more that people
Yeah.
could modify it to their own and learn from it. So yeah, I think this is great. I don't want to have like, bust into a library where there's a file that as soon as you open it, you get a jump scare where you're like, Jesus Christ, this doesn't look like code. This looks like a bulldozer went through drove over someone's keyboard. Those are just random abbreviations all over the place. So I like the fact that this is pretty human readable compared to say if we were making more complicated physics stuff where we have hash tables full of numbers that nobody knows what anything means. We don't gotta get too weird with it.
Did you update the repository for I made a repo for the stream, like the thumbnails. I put the stuff there. I'll share it with you later.
Sick. Yeah, feel free to share that with me, and then I guess also the state machine will probably be inside of that. And if it isn't, then
yes.
What?
Yeah, I'll make every component. So like the finite state machine, I might code it. Like I might go through it later when you go. Yeah, I think I'll go through it a little bit more in detail. But yeah, it's gonna be in the repo. I'm gonna link the Discord. So if anybody wants to participate or join, I know there's not many people watching right now, but if people, I've seen like the previous video, there was a bunch of people that watched that afterwards, so I'm like, that's cool. But if there are people who got all the way to here and are interested with collaborating, we're idiots trying to code. That's what we're doing. So don't feel free. I'm gonna put the Discord link, and I'm going to put the link for the repository in the description of the video once I get there. Yeah, I'll edit it before finishing.
Yeah, sounds good to me, man.
Thanks so much for sharing this. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a good day.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thanks for having me on, and I'm excited to see where we take our projects. Obviously, you've got more of this typical design pattern-based programming understanding. You're trying to make a game. I've got a little bit more understanding of like what the underlying systems for a lot of games are. I've been researching game design for way longer than I've been doing coding, so we've both got stuff to share with one another. I find that super beneficial. So
I think so. We got complementary skills, and we're both learning. We're both on a path, on a journey.
Absolutely. Okay, man. Well, thanks for having me on. Super.
No worries.
Super fun, and it also points me in the right direction, because when it comes to this kind of stuff, that's the
motivation.
Fear.
I mean, for it's scary. Like starting and getting out there. It's really, I find it scary. Creating projects, being like, oh, can I do it?
Yeah, for me, it's more so just like you said with the technical debt stuff, and this is true with everything, like music stuff and any code stuff and any project at all. Implementing a system and having no idea whether or not it's going to be the death of your progress, or if it's going to be the thing that makes it so that the project gets over the last hump. That's the real issue. So having people who are experienced with the implications of the decisions you're making is super useful. So I appreciate it.
Oh yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, TunaChip, and we'll see you next week.
Yep. Awesome, man. I'll see you then.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay. So what am I gonna talk about now? I guess. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to go through. Let's move things around a little bit. Guest, don't need you anymore. All right, so this, my friends, is an API. It's text. It's heavy. It shows you how to do things. Basically, we're gonna work with terminal a lot. Basically, this is how programmers get things done. You'd think that we have huge brains and that we figure things out and we're so smart. But no, we just read a lot of people who are smarter than us, that have taken the time to template shit, and make it into useful tools. So this one, Blessed, is what we're gonna use. This is what an API looks like. Whenever someone asks, what is it? So an API, in simple terms, it's an interface. It's basically the buttons that you press when you're a programmer. And the people who've made this library, made this API, they want people to create stuff with it, so they make it easier. But programming is basically you get into the API and you read. And so that's what I've done when I was talking about when Tuna was explaining his project. I made this finite state machine just to practice with Python, because I'm not a, I'm a junior programmer. I'm not a senior. I have very limited experience, but also Python, I have some things that I've used. I have some games on Steam that are pretty cool to practice Python. There's a game called The Farmer Was Replaced. It's basically Python. There's Joy of Programming. I've got that. It's like a simulator. Well, it has a program. I mean, it has problems and puzzles in Python. It has like a 3D rendering and stuff, so you don't have to create the entire game. You can test AI and just basic programming within an environment that's already constructed. And there's of course, Code Trainer, which is a game. It's about $10 on Steam. I recommend it. It has a couple hundred puzzles. Here, I could pull it and put it on screen. It's made in Godot. So learning Python is pretty cool. Python is like I said at the beginning of the video, it's a very simple programming language, and it has a very rich environment. It has a lot of libraries, so you don't it can be very overwhelming. When I started programming, it was very overwhelming, like what the hell. Steam. So yeah, it's overwhelming. It's like, do I have to do all of that? Well, there's a lot of things that you can learn from just going in libraries, following the instructions there. This is a game called Code Trainer. It's very interesting. I paid $10 on Steam. There's a couple modes. You can just go into sandbox mode, and it has 4 programming languages. It has Python, JavaScript, Java, and C#. I mean, it's not. It has. I think it's plugged directly to the interpreters, but it runs inside of Godot binary. The way that Godot works is it makes a binary of your program, and you just need that. So Python is it's very similar to the language that the Godot programming engine, game engine, uses. Very similar. So it can be a very good language to learn for game programming. There's a lot of puzzles. You can see I'm a beginner. I'm bad. Right. So it's boring. It's really just coding. Another good resource that I mentioned Joy of programming. Well, I mean, you can look it up on Steam. I think right now I'm gonna pull in a game. I'm gonna pull in. Not sure what to do. Well, I guess I could call it a day. No, I almost forgot. Alright. This is a finite state machine. I'm going to explain what it does a little bit better than I did previously. So, first, you need to create a class that's going to be this needs to be sort of an. I could have made this into a different module, but it's basically an interface, and it puts empty functions inside, and so it just tells the finite state machine that a state looks like this. It has those functions inside. So whenever I want to add functions, I should add them here first. And then those are the methods. So it's going to initialize itself, and it's going to store, it's going to store itself into as a table. And the initialization isn't done by the state machine itself. It's going to be done by whatever is consuming it. So whatever part of the program needs to change state is going to make that request. So I define it as none. Register, it just takes here in the arguments, it takes name, and it takes state object, and it adds it as an index of the entire table that is the states that are all of the states that are registered. And this is where I do it. I do this inside of the main loop. So I just register each state. And I need to create a state and import it in order for this to work. Changing state, basically it just like I said, it adds any future state, any future updated version of that state is going to be taken as an argument. And so this makes it very easy. You see, if I wanna change a state, in the programming sense, I only have to return the name of the state as it was registered in the main loop. So here, the state is defined as its own static function, and it's appended. It's inserted or whatever. That's probably not the right word. Into this, so it's only defined as a string. It makes it really easy. And so those are the variables that I have to work with. The element status. And like he says, they are organized in dicts, and those are tuples. And so if I was to go very, very quickly over this, and if I was to very quickly, I'm not gonna test it, but just write it down, sort of demonstrate how I think a character should be instantiated. So I'm gonna mimic New folder. Gonna call it Carbs. Cultivus. No, just character. Wait. It's already called character here. So yeah, cultivist would be, I would have to do, let's say, I would have to import it first, so like from, it's not gonna work because it doesn't exist. So let's create character class. Sorry, should mute before I do an onomatope. Well, it will still, I think it will still work if I put it like that, so it's fine. So I would like class, I'd make a class, combat state. From FSM, import FSM. Right. So now I would have, let's say I make a function, attack. just gonna make empty self. And then the player would be constructed there. Character. Bob. So yeah, to follow this interface, I have self, name, element 1, element 2. So yeah, Bob. And then let's say fire, plant, and then there's gonna be temperament. I don't know what temperament does, but it's an integer, so let's just say 1. Whee! And then return. It would be.
Are you live?
Yes, I'm live. How you doing? But it's fine. Yeah, how you doing? You. Hello.
Sporsif,
How you
are
doing?
you live?
Yes, but it's fine. You're welcome. I don't think.
Wow.
I was almost finished. I was explaining really boring things.
Wow. Wow. Did a whole stream without me just because I have a real life job.
Nah, I mean, Tuna just left maybe 5 minutes ago, so it's perfect timing. What do you want to talk about? Do you want to do stuff?
Tuna fucking abandoned you?
No, he didn't. He yapped a lot. Like I swear I smoked 2 joints while he was talking about the stuff. I swear I was following though.
It's almost like this was a Tuna stream and not a Spore stream. Almost.
Yeah, no. It's I did explain some things, but I explained things poorly. You know how I am. But yeah, we're gonna make a game. I'm gonna help Tuna make his dream game. It's gonna be cool. I like it. He's got I like his idea. He's got a lot of like a lot of the combat designed and stuff, and I can do more of like the basic shit that you need in a game, like the menu, the more boring stuff. That's what I'm gonna be doing. Would you? What? How are you, Lily? How's it going? How's your day?
Fucking today has been garbage. Mostly because I had to work 8 hours. Now my legs hurt. How about you? Do you have a good stream? Did you get lots of donos? Spore, you're on push to talk.
I do not take donos. It's fine. I don't take donos. I'm not like that. Meaning.
I said it ironically. I don't know if you can tell.
If I ever get to the point where it worries me because if we get to the point we're gonna have to like restructure because I didn't account for donos. If there's donos, I want to give it to like whoever comes on stream needs like the.
Ew.
I don't want to make money. I want to find people who want to create.
So you wanna do charity work, is what I'm hearing.
No, I mean, that's not charity. I could work. You can make a living in charity, you know.
Yeah, but I meant like for your streams.
How is it charity? Well, yeah, I mean, YouTube makes money with my streams if I do it. No, I don't. There's no ad.
You said you wanted to give your money away. If you did get donos, you want to give it away.
No, but like if I have guests, I'm gonna give them a part of it.
You're gonna give your guests money?
No, not the guests, but if I co-host, well, if I'm gonna do something.
You know what, Spore? If you're gonna start paying your co-host,
share it.
You know what, Spore? If you're gonna pay people who come onto your stream, I'll be on every stream. Don't worry.
Well, I mean, maybe
you guys, if you want to donate to Spore, you can actually just go to my Twitch channel and just subscribe.
I have a Patreon, but I don't wanna push people to it. Like, we're gonna create things.
And what's the point of having it?
I was so Ducky could pay me for my esteemed services.
Why did you make a Patreon for Ducky to pay you when? Okay, whatever. You know what? I don't care. I don't care.
If I tell you, I'm gonna have to like, I can't say it because we're being,
yeah. That's why I stopped. Myself. That's why I'm not talking. That's why I'm ending the conversation.
Nah, I mean,
basically, guys, Spore is a pedophile.
What? No.
That's why you need to set up the That's why you need to set up the fucking Patreon.
I mean, yeah, it's a way to keep anonymous. It's a good way to not just give your credit card information to a stranger on the internet. You can make a Patreon instead.
Yeah, but you could do that through PayPal with a business account.
What are you? Are you paid by? You're coming back for your job from PayPal? You work for? Isn't that Elon Musk's company? Isn't he the guy who started it?
No. Elon Musk, like, basically sued them because he wanted to be listed as a co-founder of PayPal, even though he didn't do any work. He didn't actually found it. He just like sued them. He joined during the project, and he's like, I want to be a co-founder. I want to be an official co-founder, and he sued them. But yeah, Elon Musk doesn't actually have anything.
Didn't he do that with the OpenAI as well?
Well, Elon Musk is actually part of the original people who funded it. Yeah. Anyway,
right, we could do some React, I guess. Oh, I've gone through all the stuff I wanted to do.
What are we gonna react to?
I have no idea. I don't have any experience in this.
You don't have experience reacting to things? Have you ever been alive before, like a living being?
I just like look at it and like I'm like.
And you just say nothing. You make no emotional face. You don't do nothing at all. Inside. You're just a blank.
I'm completely dead inside, girl.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. It's cool to say you're dead inside. Don't fight it.
No, it isn't. No, that's not cool anymore. You know what? It was cool for a decade, and now we have the Trump administration, and now everything's going to shit. So guess what? Optimism is cool now. Being happy is cool now.
It's always been cool. You're just not cool.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't cool in the 90s. When everyone was a pedophile.
I mean, it was completely cool. It's just, yeah, everybody was cool.
In the 90s,
nobody freaked out about anything.
No. You see, in the 90s, everyone thought that pedophilia was just like a funny joke.
Okay, now I got your... Damn, I was looking for your freaking... I got your PNG going. I've been speaking to a ghost for all this time. God.
I'm a ghost! Oh, scary! I scared all the black people out of here because I was a ghost.
You're very loud, though. You're very loud. Ghost.
Well, that's just my personality. No, not the ghosts I was referencing, which was the Ku Klux Klan. You know, that's what I was referencing, and they're very loud.
God damn.
You know, they dressed up as ghosts to, like, scare black people and kill them.
Hey, did you ever see this? Did you ever see the silly unfinished game I made?
No.
Wait, I'm gonna try to...
And if I have, I forgot.
Well, I'm streaming it.
I love you. Oh, Pawn Scum Academia.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good idea at the time.
Should have called it Psychic Academia. You're laughing because you know I'm right.
You see, that's another implementation of a state machine. There we have a menu state, and then when I click the play button, it goes into a play state.
Wow.
Yeah, it has... the only thing it has is a conversation with Smug.
Ew. Who would want that? That's disgusting.
Yeah, it's a game for masochists.
I personally wish that I could never have a conversation with Smug, but unfortunately I have to for my job.
What? You work for Smug?
No, I don't work for Smug. No, I don't work for Smug. Part of my job is interacting with Smug.
Oh, okay. How?
But I can't go into... I can't go into detail.
Okay, I'm not
gonna basically...
No, I don't want to know.
Smugbug got fired, so I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Alright. You worked for the company. You worked for the Shadow Cabal.
No, I worked for a company.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't Microsoft. By the way, I'm lying. I made all that up. I've never talked to Smug ever.
You're filling up the dead air, so it's cool.
Oh. Mm. How do you make your spaghetti?
I boil it.
Oh.
Takes about
Okay.
10 minutes.
You don't. No, I mean, like, how do you prepare the sauce? Do you just like dump it out of a can?
No. What do
Oh.
you need like a sauce recipe?
What? No.
Okay.
We should react to people making spaghetti.
But I mean, the first thing you do, you put the meat. You need to like cook meat. Unless you're vegan, then you don't cook meat. You just cook vegetables. You can put some tofu, some tempeh. You can put some. I don't know. You can put whatever the fuck you want in it.
Yeah, I don't like the meat in my sauce.
Seitan. Seitan's really good. You can make little chunks of seitan. And I cook them first with garlic and onions. You start with that. I do it directly in the big pot where I'm gonna make the sauce. It's just kind of like savage, but that's what I do. Fuck you. And yeah. And then you cook the vegetables, and then you put some tomato sauce, and tomato paste, and that's it.
Yummy.
And then you mix it, and you slowly let it simmer for maybe 2 or 3 hours. 3 hours is better. And you reduce the heat. And the best way to know if it's ready is if you have a big spoon, and you put it in the middle of your sauce and it doesn't fall, then it's fine, it's ready. That's how I do it.
Oh my god, there's such a delay.
A delay? What do you mean?
Yeah, between your stream and reality, there's such a fucking delay.
I live in reality.
Why don't you have low
in the
latency
computer.
mode?
Why
are you not streaming at low latency?
What do you mean? I thought low latency was bad.
It is bad if you're gaming.
I'm not. I mean, it's just a dialogue I made with Oscar Sprite.
Oh, yeah, baby.
This is nothing.
So this is a dating simulator? You get to date Smug?
No, you get to destroy Smug completely.
Aw, that's
and
gay.
And then reality collapses. But I mean, it's really just it's a prototype.
Why can't we have a Smugbug dating simulator?
No. That's a big no. I don't do that. I mean, if I was to do that, I would.
I'm not asking you to add a sex
different
scene.
pseudonym.
I'm not asking you to add any sex scenes.
No, I don't want to make a dating game. I mean,
okay.
How the fuck does that? I've never had a dating game. I've never played them. I've played these stupid.
Really?
Like, I know what you mean. That usually the academy games are dating games. So I mean.
My Hero Academia.
Well, dating games are all called Academy because it's lolly bullshit. And for like.
Oh.
Most of the dating games.
I was thinking like Hunipop.
I don't know any dating game. So yeah.
You don't know that one? It's pretty famous. You know, all the Let's Players played it.
The Let's Players? No.
Yeah, like Markiplier and PewDiePie and Jacksepticeye and all the other Let's Players. They all played it. How do you not know this game? All the Let's Players played it.
I don't watch Let's Plays.
Well, that's because you had no childhood, and this is why you're dead inside.
Right. I'm gonna play a game
now.
Yeah.
Suck! You suck!
I think I'm gonna play
Why are we not reacting to spaghetti? I want to see someone cook spaghetti! I want to see someone cook spaghetti! I want to see someone cook spaghetti! I want to see someone cook spaghetti!
Lily. Stop.
I'm singing.
Why do you want to see someone cook spaghetti? Why that?
You want
that
React
fixation.
content? I'm giving you React content.
No, I think I'm gonna play a game. What should I play? I'm
You
gonna
gotta
play
play. Do
Roguelike
you have
because
Peak?
it's the.
I was gonna
don't
say,
have
do you
Peak.
have Peak?
I don't.
Why not?
I just don't. And I don't have all of the video games out there.
Oh, you should get Peak
Do
so
you-
that
do
you
you
can
have-
play with
Do
me
you
and
have
Duckbringer.
X3? Well, are you gonna play now or?
Play Peak? No.
Yeah. So fuck you. That's the last thing. Like every time someone is like, "Oh, do you want to play this game?" I buy it. We play like 5 minutes. They go crash out on Queeman, and then I never play that game again.
That's oddly specific.
Yes.
That's very specific. Not calling anyone in particular out or anything.
Not at all. Not at all. Good time.
Yeah, see?
Duck rated
More proof
earlier.
you're not dead inside.
I think if I was not dead inside, maybe I would have an audience. Maybe it's because I'm dead inside.
No,
What do you
that's
think?
not why you don't have an audience.
Okay. I mean, it's
You don't have an
probably
audience
of a
because you
bunch of-
just started.
Yeah. There was probably a bunch of practical, but I've had friends show up. My friends show up. That's all I want.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how it starts.
Alright, what game should I play?
I don't know.
I bought a game. Okay, I'll play that. It's called BioWeaver. And we can just chat while I play.
Probably gonna leave.
If you want to, you can share your window, and I'll have it. Like I'll make it a pop out.
So okay, basically, so I'm bringing the content these days. Is what I'm hearing.
Otherwise, I'll just close. You know, where I guess I could just play a game and mumble while I do it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You gotta. It's okay. It's okay, Spore. Spore. I love you, Spore.
That's my setup.
You,
like I got a window for the guest and a window for me.
Alright. Are you sharing? You're sharing me with everyone. You're sharing me. Are you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Because I'm looking. Oh yeah, fuck it. The fucking delay. Oh, it's so bad.
It's like 3 seconds.
No, it is not. It's clearly a few minutes.
This has got to be the most disgusting sandwich in all of Japan, and I've tried to forgive them too many
Look
times.
how
The
gross
Japanese
this
convenience
is.
store is home to a plethora of delicious breads and an outstanding variety. Cakes, sandos, buns, and several other alternative words for hiney. But one thing that I will never abide is another toe. And also these sandwiches. But there's a new
UFO.
garlic mayo promotion going on, so if I'm going to learn to love these wretched things, now's the time. Yakisoba pan is just weird to me. And I don't mean that in the typical, I really don't like Mexican food, so can I just have the chicken tenders, por favor? I mean, it just doesn't make sense through any cultural lens. Yakisoba is already so good by itself, why would you put it in between two buns? I mean, look at this thing, it should be used as a demotivational poster. It's the antithesis of that Michael Jordan quote poster on your elementary school teacher's
Looks
door.
so
It's like if Bruce Lee said,
gross.
just give
Looks
up.
like a
And
bunch
just
of
looking at it is making me want to
words.
succumb to this cold. And as expected, this isn't for me.
Ew.
In fact, the ultra thick and garlicky mayonnaise made it worse. Now it's overly sweet noodles on a sweet roll, and it tastes like garlic breath smells like. The smaller version is much better.
I'm calling bullshit on the
Yucky.
myth that everything's better homemade. And I'm testing it by making things from scratch that nobody in their right mind would ever make from scratch. Today we're making a PB&J. I got some
When tech meant faster computers and smaller phones, it was exciting. You wanted to know what they were going to come up with
My
next.
God, you're
now it's a bunch
loud.
of buttheads trying to figure out new ways to charge you a subscription to look at the crappiest ads you can imagine. The thing about capitalism is that at a certain point, a product reaches its maximum audience and can't really be improved. At least not while remaining profitable. But capitalism requires a product provide infinite growth. And at that point, the only way to increase profits is to raise prices, cut corners, and in the case of
That was
services,
loud.
start
You
adding
were loud.
advertisements. This is just how the system works. When tech
What?
meant
You
faster
were very
computers and smaller
loud.
phones, it
You
was
were very,
exciting.
very
You wanted to
loud.
know what they were going to come up with next. Now it's
Okay.
a bunch of buttheads trying to figure out new ways to charge you a subscription to look at the crappiest ads you can
What
imagine.
do you have an
The thing about
opinion on
capitalism
this
is that at a certain
YouTube
point, a
short?
product reaches its maximum audience and can't really be improved. At least not while remaining profitable.
He's talking
But
too
capitalism
fast.
requires a product providing infinite
What is he
growth.
talking
And at
about?
that point,
What?
the only
He's reading something.
Oh, it's one of those. Why are you going shorts? You should not be going in shorts. This is where the brain rot is.
Do you have an
YouTube Shorts
opinion
is
on
the
this
brain rot.
post?
Yeah, it's brain rot.
Okay, so your opinion is I refuse to engage with the substance of this video because I'm biased against short form video.
Yeah.
That's your official opinion.
Yeah, that's my official opinion.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Here, I'll put your window. I'll make it bigger.
So, like, what do you think about the idea that capitalism, at some point, a product can't be improved without cutting into profits, but our capitalist system demands that there is infinite growth?
Yeah.
Right?
I do.
This is just
So,
how this
one thing you can do is you can sort of influence the prices by doing boycotts and shit like that. I know you're gonna be like, well, boycotts, man, but you can really hurt a company, and if you hurt their profits, you can open them up to altruistic ideals. Like if you see, I worked for Greenpeace, and we did that a lot, and a lot of it is you're gonna make something. So for example, we did a campaign against clover leaf tuna. Like try and freaking convince enough people to stop buying some specific type of tuna for some absolutely geeky reason that's complete cringe, and then if you can do that, it's gonna make them lose money, and then you can go there and you can be, hey, do you want to like adopt environmentally friendly practices, and then they're gonna be open to negotiation. But if you don't do that, they won't change. So like I agree with you. No, you cannot make changes in capitalism without incurring loss in profit, and so that's why you need to impose those loss in profits, and you need to impose consequences. You need to sort of think outside the box. Like I use the Greenpeace example. It's not the best example, but Greenpeace is an example of them thinking outside the box, being like, okay, capitalism is there, we don't like it, but we can't really change it, so let's kind of like take advantage of this idea that there's a big component of capitalism that is marketing, and you can sort of use that marketing against them to boycotts and stuff like that. That's what I have to say.
Yeah. You know, that's actually a really good opinion. You know, I really appreciate you sharing it.
Woohoo!
You know?
Was that
You
what
know,
the
and I
video was
wish
about?
that you shared that opinion immediately instead of saying, this is a YouTube short! It's bad!
Because I mean, there's a component in like I guess meta-modernism would address that idea that there's like a, well, it's a platitude. Like so many people have their narrative about how the world is bad and capitalism is bad, and if you're depressed, it's because of capitalism. It's not because you don't like your job. It's because of like.
Yeah.
It doesn't change shit, and a lot of people that are gonna be against or for capitalism, I think it's too big. I can't freaking address capitalism. I can maybe try to survive within it. Maybe try to think of something that's sort of out of its reach. There's many things that are out of the reach of capitalism. If you can't find any, you probably need to go touch grass a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe-
That's good. That's good.
Consider myself an entertainer. although I'm sure people are entertained by it. That's never my intention. Secondly, I don't think the numbers of people we reach necessarily has anything to do with anything. And I don't think punk rock being popular is necessarily such a great thing either. In fact, I'm not sure if it's possible. I think that after a certain point, punk rock reaches a level where immediately, if it gets too big, some kid somewhere, these kids are going to say, these boys and girls, they're going to say, fuck that. We're going to start over. We're going to do something on our own. We don't want to be a part of that. Which is, in a way, the only silver lining of all these bands that are signed to all these major labels. This feeding frenzy that's going on. It's kind of great because it's just lifted up this whole level of all these bands has like sort of been signed and created this huge space for people to say, let's build something new, which I think is awesome. It's really good.
Yeah, he's a fucking punk rock singer.
I hope they do. I hope that people will always say fuck you. It's a really important thing to say. I consider myself an
Photoshop?
Well, oh yeah, you're on YouTube. We can't watch copyrighted stuff or you'll get nuked to death.
What do you mean?
Fucking Lord.
I think it's fine
Lord
because I'm
Death
not.
Man.
We're live and I'm not monetizing it at all. So
I don't. I mean, we shouldn't risk it.
I don't risk it. Like I'm not gonna watch Star Wars or anything.
I'm gonna go to the free movies section of YouTube. Clearly, it's free, so why we're allowed. It's free and it's on YouTube. We must be allowed to watch it on stream. Anyway, time to learn about Lord Deathman.
The Joker. Bane.
I do have
Ra's al
to.
Ghul.
I will have
The
to go
King
shortly.
Crusader
So
is
let's give it like a 10-15 minutes, and then I'm gonna call it a day.
Then this is the final video.
Up against many foes over the years, but only one can claim the title of Batman's greatest nemesis, Lord Deathman. Now, I'm sure you're probably thinking, who the hell is Lord Deathman? And honestly, he's probably one of the dumbest villains in Batman's rogues gallery, which is really saying something, considering that it also contains the likes of Kite Man and Condiment King.
Well,
Here's the thing, Lord Deathman's one and only power is that he can't die. And he is supposed to be a Batman villain, a character whose entire deal is never, ever killing somebody. This is the guy that would rather viciously maim his own kid rather than see the Joker die. But what's really wild is that despite being a Z-tier villain, Lord Deathman is actually a really interesting character that has a lot of ties to one of the most overlooked and fascinating pieces in all of Batman history, which is absolutely worth talking about. Hello and welcome to Comic Drake, where I talk about comic books and my name is Drake. Let's talk about it. Lord Deathman made his first appearance in Batman number 180 in 1966. Was created by Robert Ganager and Sheldon Moldoff.
We hate the Japanese.
He wasn't quite a lord just yet. In his first outing, this reject from the Karate Kid led a little gang that stole jewelry, but they were quickly taken down by Batman and Robin.
What are you talking about?
Deathman boldly exclaims, "Ha ha ha! Do you really think you've captured me?
Why?
You have nothing but the black shadow of death in your hands. I can drift right between your fingers, like the smoke, anytime I wish." Batman thinks.
What?
They've done nothing wrong. Why do you hate the Japanese? That's that. I will not stand for
What?
it. You better apologize right
now.
now.
The mass raping of Chinese and Korean people?
Okay, no.
You don't think that's bad?
This is about... Abort, never mind. Let's go back to Batman.
They still deny it. They still deny the mass rapes to this day.
Don't you think it was enough to get like 2 nuclear bombs on the head? That kind of like, that does it, you know? You can't... There has to be a point where you have.
They should have gotten 3 or 4.
All right, put the slop on.
Let's finish them 2 more times.
We should with some slop.
We should keep nuking them till they acknowledge what they did.
Batman is taken to court, which, by the way, can we just acknowledge how wild it is that we almost never get to see the villains that superheroes apprehend get prosecuted? DC definitely needs their own version of Daredevil and She-Hulk to handle all these super court cases. I mean, I would read the hell out of that book. But anyway, Deathman's costume is grafted onto his skin, preventing it from being taken off. And for the crime of attempted robbery, he's sentenced to death. Kind of extreme, considering that Gotham City is located in New Jersey, and the usual verdict for first-degree armed robbery these days is only 10 to 20 years in prison. Also, this is Gotham freaking City that we're talking about here. Supervillains can literally take over the entire city and let it fall into mob rule, and all they get is a slap on the wrist and a nice stay at Arkham Asylum, where every single person knows that they'll be broken out next Tuesday to wreak havoc all over again. But before Deathman could even leave the courtroom, he gets death noted and collapses to the ground, stone cold dead. Just to make sure, Batman and Robin go and double check his grave to confirm once again that he is DEAD dead. But then there's reports of Deathman popping up again. So he's taken down by Batman and Robin again and dies again. Okay, so what gives? Well, it turns out that Deathman is a master of yoga and learned the rare ability to slow his breathing and pulse to the point where it merely resembles death. Does this extraordinarily impressive technique have a name? Nope. This is the 60s. In a third tussle with the dynamic duo, Deathman holds his gun to the sky and is promptly struck by lightning, killing him once and for all.
Oh my god.
In hell that he's going to downward dog his way out of that one.
But
Apparently,
why
even
does
God
he-
was
why
sick
does
and
he
tired of his
keep
gimp. In
faking
any other
death?
instance, Deathman would be fated to be...
What?
Why does he keep faking death? What's his problem?
Well, you see, he gets caught for a crime, and then he pretends to die, and then he gets buried, and then he escapes.
He does it again? It works every time? But how does it, like...
No, it didn't work every time.
'Cause
He
he
got
just keeps
zapped by
searching for it.
lightning and actually died.
But is it... Okay. But didn't you say he can't die?
At some point, you should
I
just
don't get it.
cremate the guy, you know? He can fake his death.
Yet another one-off
set
villain
it
that we
on
come forgotten
fire.
time.
That's why
kind of
people
like
did
that one clown dude.
to make sure that
Jokester,
the
I think.
dead
But here's where
wouldn't-
things get interesting. Not too long after this issue came out, a Japanese publication called Weekly Shonen King licensed Batman for a brand new manga series.
Oh my god!
Was the first time
The
an
Bat
American superhero
manga?
was officially adapted in Japan. Don't quote me on that. I'm like 76% sure about this, but I could be wrong. This series was written and illustrated by mangaka Hiro Kawada, who was most well known for his series 8-Man, and the first villain that he chose for the Bat manga was Deathman. I mean,
Fuck
maybe
yeah.
just because the character was so new and it was the first Batman issue that he picked up, but honestly, Deathman works really well here because he already straight up looked like an old school anime villain. These first few chapters were basically just a retelling of Deathman's first appearance in the American comics, but with some tweaks such as the electrocution scene being replaced with him crashing a helicopter into some power lines. But
Okay,
what's most
that makes
important
way
here
more
is
sense.
Deathman's presentation. Kawada made him so much more fun and flashy by giving him the cool title of Lord Deathman, complete with a sick-ass cape. His level of pizzazz was also taken to new heights, such as instead of simply attacking the jewelry auction with a gang of henchmen, Lord Deathman killed the lights and fooled everyone into thinking that he had goons through painted flags.
That's
But after his
amazing.
appearance in the Bat manga, Lord Deathman fell even further into obscurity and wasn't seen again for 44 years. And when he came back for the Batman Superman series, he had a really god-awful modern redesign that is a straight-up
I hate that. I hate
like
that.
6 panels. But then everything changed thanks to the brilliant mind of Grant Morrison. For those
Yes!
Morrison is a well-known lover for all things old school comics and has an absolutely
W.
I have
Grant
no
Morrison.
idea
forgotten
who
ideas and
any
cheesy
of
concepts
these
from the medium's
people
past.
are.
And
You don't know who
I mean-
Grant Morrison is?
No.
He's good.
I mean, maybe I do, but I smoke a lot of weed, man.
You do.
Get off my back.
He's Scottish.
Nah,
Yeah, I know.
I'm uncultured.
I know you hate the Scots.
What do you mean? I never said anything against
I know
the
you
Scots.
want all the Scottish people to die.
That's not true. Want
I'm
maybe
joking,
some of
Chad.
them. There
Well,
has to be
okay.
some of them that deserve it.
At
I
least
guess.
Wiz Walker.
I no comment.
We're calling Wiz
my
out.
attorney says
We're-
I mustn't. My attorney says to plead the fifth.
We're calling Wiz out right now. Chat, clip it, ship it. We're starting some drama tonight.
reinterpreting them in fun ways for the modern era. Morrison
That
decided to use
was
Deathman as the first
not
antagonist
very
of their new
efficient
series, Batman Incorporated,
for,
where
if
Bruce Wayne
your
set up bad
point
people
was to
all over the
start
globe.
drama,
And because of his heavy
especially
association with the
because
Bat manga,
nobody's here.
Morrison completely reworked Deathman from the ground up. First and most importantly, they fully imported the character's depiction from the Bat manga to the West, complete with that awesome cape and the full title of Lord Deathman. However, they also made the decision to add the Japanese nature of the Bat manga
Is
into the
there
character
a,
by making LDM into
like
a
philosophical point or some point that he's making, or is it really just Batman fan shit?
Yeah, what? It's explaining a Batman character.
Okay.
Japanese crime lord with the mission of killing every single Japanese superhero. But it's not just superheroes that Lord Deathman is after. He also seems to be trying his best to kill as many innocent people as possible, including straight up blowing up a hospital and crashing a car into an apartment and unloading the entire magazines of 2 whole Tommy guns. We also can't forget that he somehow managed to turn an entire apartment into an aquarium to house a massive octopus as a sort of fisherman's wife death trap. And that is not just me trying to be crass. Morrison literally set it up by having Catwoman discover tentacle hentai just a few pages earlier. Yet the
That's fucking amazing.
most significant change that Morrison made to LDM was evolving the character past simply pretending to die through the power of yoga. Now, he has the ability to legitimately be killed and come back to life. How did he get this newfound superhuman ability? It is never explained. Because
thank God.
That's great.
Now
I mean,
an
it's
actual
he's
skull as
Deathman.
opposed to just a costume, and
It just makes
Fuck,
sense.
you don't need a fucking explanation, bro.
Look at this guy. Look at the
He
drip.
just fucking does it. He just comes back.
somehow he's able to give facial expressions with it and even wink. You also can't forget that he made out with Ra's al Ghul's grandma, which is weird.
Hot, hot,
I'm kissing there.
sexy.
Regardless, here's the fun part about the changes to Lord Deathman's power set. Because Batman knows that he won't stay dead, he doesn't have to hold back, resulting in Bruce throwing Lord Deathman off of a building into an oncoming truck that was driven by Catwoman. Oh, and instead of just putting the guy in handcuffs, Catwoman locks him in a safe and Batman launches him into space.
Yes.
Though Batman Incorporated was released right before DC decided to reboot their entire comic book universe.
Fucking shit,
but this gave
bro.
writers the opportunity to turn Lord Deathman into a walking me. Hello?
It is I, Lord Deathman.
Panda, what the actual fuck?
Hold on. Are we not doing the bit anymore? I thought we were doing the bit, man.
Absolutely not. That voice is going to get real annoying real quick. Look, just do me a favor and explain the New 52.
Okay, I got like the whole costume and everything. Though I mean, no, it's fine. You know, it's fine. Let's go. All right. So one of the most annoying things about the DC universe is that when they decided to reboot their entire continuity, and I mean everything, Batman was one of the sole exceptions. That means that all of his stories were still canon somehow. They just all took place within a 7-year time span. That means that him getting his back broken by Bane, him adopting and raising and training all of the Robins, him forming an international league of Batman, all took place within roughly the same amount of time it would take someone to reach the 3rd grade. But here's the thing. Everyone else around Batman also didn't get rebooted. Yeah, that means that everyone's favorite nemesis is still trapped up in orbit, trapped in that safe. For any other supervillain, that'd be it. That would be it. That would just go down in history as one of the most over-the-top deaths ever published for a character, right alongside Drake's favorite Marvel character, Deadpool, getting turned into the filling for a planet sandwich. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Lord Deathman isn't any other supervillain. He's not your average run-of-the-mill dude going around causing crimes.
No, you're gonna get me in trouble because I can't react to this. I have no idea what to say. Like, he's saying these things. I have no idea.
Well, then don't say anything.
But
just,
you're gonna
just
have
listen.
But you have to
just
say stuff
sit your ass down and
it
listen.
Needs to be transformative. It needs. I do not want to make slop that is not transformative. So we're gonna have to stop here and like, why did they not just go along with the freaking costume? Can you go back? I want to see the costume. It was pretty awesome.
No,
I think the bit where they're not doing a bit was stupid. They should have just done the bit. What the fuck?
Hold on. Hold your horses. Hold the phone.
No, but I mean, I'm not interested in superheroes, so it's but if I want to make some transformative content, I want to criticize the video.
Oh, I'll get you something to transform. I'll get you something.
I wonder if I bet that the bit was actual. That was real. Like, he was like, hey, I have a bit and a costume, and he was like, no, don't do that, and he did it anyway. I don't know.
Alright. Anything look interesting to you?
No, we're good. We're good. I mean, we're past.
I thought what you wanted to transform some content. Why don't we look at gay porn? Why don't we watch some gay porn together?
That's your program.
Fortune Nookie, only the plot.
You're gonna infect my program with your. Oh no. God damn it. What? Why am I here? What happened? No.
Brandon Lee. I wonder if he's related to Bruce Lee. Nico time. Or like Nico Para, Cat Girls. Eric Tanaka. He looks like an Eric. He looks like an Eric. Oh, he's sleeping. He's sleepy. Toshiro Ho. He looks like a Toshiro. Special guests. Oh, that guy's sweaty. Paul Morgan. Yeah, he looks like a Paul. Who the fuck is this? Jacob Scott. He looks so dejected. Special guest appearance? Whoa!
I'm uncomfortable.
Wait, that's a woman. This isn't gay porn. That's a woman.
Wait, I'm gonna lower your volume.
Why?
Well, I don't mind.
Why is the gay porn not on screen?
What do you mean it's on screen?
Oh.
Oh, because no, I'm just gonna lower your volume. You're like blowing my freaking ears. Okay, that should be better. You can yell now.
Why is the gay porn not on screen?
It's back now. There you go. Okay. I'm gonna change the name to gay porn. No, I don't want to do that. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna leave the. It's gonna be like a surprise for the one person who watches the video. Oh, Cassie's there.
And
Hello,
finally,
Cassie.
my loving nephew, who was nice enough never to ask for much.
Hi,
As a
Cassie.
result, I can now give you something that meant more to me than anything: my livelihood. No, not that was buried with me.
He was always a joker.
I wanted to keep it in the family, and I thought you, of all people, would understand, nephew. Do my business proud, and it will serve you well. If you
Oh,
ever
he's his
see my
nephew
face in
on
the
top
end,
of that.
you'll see
Fucking-
exactly what I'm talking about. With eternal love, your uncle.
His uncle
So
died.
is it?
Can you
I
pay
haven't
some
the slightest
respect,
idea.
please?
But you're supposed to know. You're the lawyer.
They're gonna fuck,
We need to
right?
discuss right
They're
now.
gonna like.
But you heard what I
He's
Why do
gonna
you
put-
think they're gonna have sex?
I mean, look
This is
at
just
his
a
eyes.
lawyer. His
Was this
eyes
the bar
are
exam?
weirding me out.
Lawyers
They're
suck.
too wide.
Yes, yes we do.
What's he doing? He's,
I'm uncomfortable even more. You know.
looks like he's just chilling. Inappropriate adult scene.
Yeah, it's a very warm day.
Aw, jeez.
It's really I guess
It's just hot
it's a
out.
difficult decision.
Take off all your clothes.
God, why? Why?
In front of a client. Pixies, I just don't want to do this anymore.
Are they Scottish? What the fuck is that accent?
Yes.
Look, I like you, kid. And I don't say that to many people. Because I don't like many people. But you have a gift.
Oh, it's a drag queen, not a woman. Thank God.
I said $10 more to swallow. But that's not
Are
what
you
I
saying
meant.
drag queens are
Now
not
get
women?
the fuck back in there. He's probably
Yeah.
dead by now, and I need that
Well,
room.
some of them
I
are.
thought they were.
Not
I mean, they're really convincing. I thought they were.
No.
Well, fuck me. I'm sorry. He was such a wonderful man. Anyway, it ain't much, but some people call it home.
Do you?
Fuck no. I got this beautiful little place down in, well, sometimes. Anyway, let me show you around.
I hope Tuna's not gonna be mad that that we're finishing the design document for his game with gay porn. I don't think he's gonna be mad.
We'd be out of a job.
You know, Tuna likes gay
More
porn.
than getting paid for it.
Whoa,
Your uncle knew that, and he died
that's a
rich
big
man.
allegation.
I'm happy.
Huh? No,
You
I've
think you
watched
can
gay
handle all
porn
this?
with Tuna.
We'll see.
Okay then.
You
that's
enjoyed
fine.
it. You enjoyed it. Yeah.
Why a pissy?
You know if you watch my streams, but you don't.
But he will fire us, and I need that job. I can't believe you have 2 kids. I was young and confused. Well, I was too, but I
Yeah,
jacked off your
I'm
cantaloupe.
very busy doing
So did
internet
I,
things.
Kaya. What do
I
you mean?
jerk off into a cantaloupe.
It's a wet and sloppy, and I just have to talk to it after.
What the fuck? What's happening? They're eating melons?
No, they were talking about how they've had sex with cantaloupes.
Oh, they're cantaloupes. Cantaloupes.
Can I attempt to?
I thought it was melons.
I'm sorry. I gotta get back to work.
That is a melon.
If you say I wasn't doing anything. Don't worry about that. I'm in charge now. You can take a
I'm
break.
in charge now.
Just as long as you promise to come back. I couldn't make that promise. You sound like you're looking for a new job. Please don't fire me.
You're fired.
I have a new job for you.
Alright. You can be sucky, sucky boy. Oh shit, this bitch is
No,
stealing.
that little bitch taking the money, what the fuck?
Oh my god, women be stealing money.
It's not a woman, it's a drag queen.
Oh my god,
Look,
even
she
in
just-
the wig!
Yeah.
Even in the wig! Even in her panties!
Incredible. I mean, that's crazy. That's
Oh, hey, just straightening up. I love my job.
Tell her, Nico. I know you want to say more than I do. You fired, bitch.
She's angry.
the face she makes.
Bro, she's the best character. I love her. It's raining outside. Look how she's strutting.
She got out with all the money. These losers, but they found each other, so that's fine.
I think you have what it takes to do
Yeah.
Chrissy's job.
Now they're gonna have sex.
What? No. That's not what it's about. It's about. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
interesting.
They're having sex. You were right.
Well, yeah. The end. Well,
All right,
that's the
I
end
mean,
of
that's-
stream
that's the
chat.
end of the stream.
Stream's over. Everyone leave.
Thank you for ruining my career. I'm canceled now. I mean, it was a
wait,
very
hold
short
on,
career.
hold on. I want to be very clear. The one stream where you stop doing coding shit and you react to gay porn had the most viewers and chatters of all your
That's
streams.
true. You're right. Okay, I'm gonna have to wait this in and talk about it to the board. But I'm not putting it in the thumbnail.
All right, I'm
Anyway, thanks,
Bye,
Lily.
I love you.
Thank you, everyone.